Three men and a multiverse of sci-fi's finest spacecraft. But which ones can claim to be the greatest ships ever? Welcome to Space Doc Jury.
Welcome to Space Doc Jury episode 15. My name is Lee and I am bringing the Destiny from Stargate Universe.
Hi, I'm Peter and I'm bringing the Ark from Transformers.
I'm Andy and I'm bringing the Battlestar Galactica from the new version of Battlestar Galactica.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, I'm Dave and I'm bringing the Liberator from Blake 7.
And he just blown my headphones out with that. Fantastic, well done. Hi everyone. So welcome to Space Doc Jury episode 15. Yes, as you may have noticed, we have a guest fourth chair this week, and we are doing ancient spaceships. If you hadn't got the theme right from that lot.
These themes are getting pretty tenuous at this point, aren't they?
Well, yeah, especially when you talk about Galactica. Everything else is well over 1,000 years old, and Galactica's kind of, 100?
150,000 years old, I'll have you know.
What, the original Galactica?
No, the Galactica from Battlestar Galactica.
Is how many years old?
Oh, God.
Well, it itself isn't. I'm just saying it took place 150,000 years ago.
Right. Okay.
Oh, by the way, there will be spoilers for Battlestar Galactica, so if you guys haven't seen it, probably shouldn't listen to this episode.
Horse bolted. Right.
Yeah. Well, I suspect there might be spoilers for Blake 7 as well, but anyone who's not watched that at this point should probably hang their head in shame.
Absolutely.
And there will be spoilers for Stargate Universe, but no one watched that anyway, so who cares?
Yeah,
there will be spoilers for Transformers, but on the basis that the continuity changes every 5 minutes, I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, actually, by the time we finish this conversation, probably the Wikipedia has been rewritten for Transformers entirely. So
as fast as I can, damn it.
So
it's no trick now. We're nobbling each other by editing the wikis we're
using. Yeah, right. So there you go. So anyway, as is tradition, we get a fourth chair, and the fourth chair gets the dubious honour of reading out our current top 10. So before we get going, Dave, welcome, and it's over to you for the top 10, sir.
Excellent. Well, in at number 10, it's the most aggressive Christmas decoration in the galaxy. It's the Cylon Base Star.
With an awesome doorbell, though, it's got to be said.
Yeah.
At number 9, scream if you want to shit yourself. It's the Shadow Battle Crab. At number 8, everybody's favourite space prawn. It's the Normandy SR-1.
Good man.
Still hanging in strong, though. You
Yeah.
get in there, Normandy.
Yeah. Hanging around with a fishy smell.
At number 7, we've skipped the fish course and on to the main course for the USG Ishimura rib spaceship. Pour on the barbecue sauce. At number 6, after the crumbs have been spilled everywhere, why not hoover up with its defiance?
Yes, well done, Dave. You can stay. We like you.
At number 5, taking forever to fill the screen, it is the SSD Executor.
But quite possibly the coolest soundtrack on the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. At number 4, it's big, it's round, it blows shit out the ground. It is the Dalek Mothership.
Yes. Not the problem.
We're going to have a conversation about the competence of Daleks at some point, Mr. Metcalf. Just so
But nevertheless, it's the new Who mothership, not that stupid thing that looked like the front of a Buick.
One that never went into space.
Yeah.
yes. It's funny now. We've got another one like those today, haven't we, Peter?
Yes, I may have shot myself in the foot again.
Nice.
Peter Morgan bringing a knife to a gunfight since 2016.
Knife? It's more like a bloody pea shooter.
On to the top 3. At number 3, the very much related to a ship we're covering today, it is the Battlestar Pegasus. Aggressively beating confessions out of people.
It's what we do, and triggering many arguments over speed.
At number 2, for people who like solid shapes, it's the Borg cube.
Nice.
And at number 1, it is the most aggressive sex toy in the universe.
Yes.
It is the Vengeful Spirit.
Running speed.
It is the best description of it ever. And now we go live to Lee Medcalf for the latest Slanishi watch. Lee?
So the Nishi watch, well, actually, luckily, I've managed to avoid it this week. However, when I did know that we were doing the podcast, I did think, well, I tell you what, I'll Google up Slanishi, and actually, I think I've hit crisis point because I've not seen anything new.
That's disconcerting. Well, listeners out there, if you're hearing, obviously Neely's help. So post your favourite Slanishi pictures into the Facebook group, and we'll pass them on to him.
And the police, obviously.
And obviously, yes, because we don't need that sort of filth listening to our cast.
No, exactly. So, well done, Dave. We might have you on every week just recording that stuff.
Yeah, because next time we do one of these, we're going to sound so crap in comparison.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, you were the Fluff Freeman of our podcast. Well done.
Bloody fourth chairs coming in with an excitement and enthusiasm, and
yeah.
Well, I'm sure by the end of the evening you'll have beaten that all out of me.
Well, yeah. That's
Screw
what we
you,
do.
Boy.
Right, okay, well, there you go. So, yes, the top 10, relatively unchanged from last week, obviously, because we haven't done anything new, but... I love it when they do that, on those top 40 things. Top 40, relatively unchanged since last week. Well, of course, nothing's fucking changed, because it hasn't been, and there's been no change. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Sorry, that's just me being crazy. So, Wibble.
And shouts at cloud.
So, who lost last time? Do I even have to ask?
It wasn't me, for a change.
Oh, it wasn't, was it? It wasn't
No.
you, because
What
you
do
got
you
him.
mean?
You got him with a silent bass star.
Yeah, but I got a score of Ack.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
exactly. Only Ack.
yeah, only Ack, and that doesn't count as anything because that's Ack-all, as I recall.
True. However, we have a guest, and as is tradition, guests gets to choose when they want to go.
Okay, well, in that case, I shall go last, I think.
A wise man, sir.
I want to see how much of a kicking I'm going to get
I feel
in advance, rather than starting with boundless enthusiasm and suddenly realising it's all going to go horribly wrong.
Well, it helps with the alcohol content raises throughout the evening as well.
yeah,
Absolutely. Wait till the defences are down.
yeah, exactly.
Yes. Remember the Space Dock drinking game? You drink when Peter picks a chit shit, and you drink when Andy and Lee argue.
And you also down the bottle when we argue about the actual score of a particular ship because we've both added it up wrong.
Yes.
And thus alcohol poisoning sweeps the nation.
I think episode 13, it would have killed a lot of people.
Especially if I'm right. That's the other one. If I get it right and Pete gets it wrong, then you have to
If Lee gets it right, you've got to finish with Drinks Cabinet.
Yeah, exactly. Right, okay. Well, in which case, then, if the guest wishes to go last, and that's probably the wisest move ever, then I think
it's me up, isn't it?
It is down to you, sir. Yes.
It's quite all right. Get this out of the way, then.
So, the Galactica.
Yes, the Battlestar Galactica from, as I mentioned before, the new series by Ronald D. Moore. Not the classic old Galactica, which we'll get to at some point. Maybe someone else can do that shit, because I've done all the Galactica ones, apart from the base star. But I digress. So, the Battlestar Galactica was one of 12 Galactica-type Battlestars built in the early part of the First Cylon War. She was assigned the pennant number of 75, and she served through that war largely with distinction. Basically, each of the Battlestars was supposed to represent one of the 12 colonies, and Galactica represented Caprica. Very solidly built, largely designed to deliver Vipers and so forth to the front line, but she also packed quite a punch. In her earlier fit, she featured 50 primary guns and over 600 dual-point defence things. Many Vipers, including the Mark IIIs, which, interestingly enough, wouldn't actually fit through her launch tubes, but that's besides the point. We don't count blood and chrome here, do we? No.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm not counting blood and chrome. I was just doing like to establish some stuff. But anyway, so we come to meet Galactica later on. It's about 40 years later when she's about to be decommissioned, the last of the classic Battlestars, and to be turned into a museum. But as anyone who's actually watched the series realises, something happens, and she gets 4 more years of service, which was nice.
Got spoilers.
Yeah.
She was her final commander was Commander Adama, later Admiral Adama. She has an overall length of 1,438.64 meters. The 0.64 is important. In her final fit, she is equipped with just finding the right thing. 514 point defense lasers, 24 primary batteries, and 12 missile tubes, which each launch nuclear missiles. Very nasty things. Don't want to mess around with those. Obviously, we're Galactica, so we're talking Galactica-type FTLs and so forth. So I'm sure me and Lee will have a lot of fun revisiting the Pegasus discussion.
Just leave it. At this point, and
yeah, at this point, we just don't care. Anyway, very briefly, she survived the initial Cylon attack primarily due to having a non-network computers and an exceptionally competent crew who, when shit starts going down, don't hang around waiting for orders, just got on with it. Although at one point Adama did want to go on some sort of weird suicide mission, so there you go.
Competence may vary.
Yeah, it does largely depend who's in charge. I mean, there was at least 2 mutinies on the ship at one point or another. So,
yeah.
Oh, actually, yeah. One was martial law and one wasn't actually a mutiny. So,
I was going to say, this is the first ship to actually feature a mutiny twice.
Yeah.
That may affect the competence.
It may, but we'll see when we get to that. It would take far too long for me to recount everything which happens through the series. All I will say is the Battlestar Galactica series is fantastic. You should absolutely watch it, and it's entirely possible there might be a new podcast about that towards the end of the year, but I couldn't say any more at this point. But yes, just a bit behind the scenes. It was primarily designed by Eric Chu and Lee Stringer, who I don't know when the schedules this takes place, but either before or after this, there's a mini-sode where we speak with Lee, and he talks all about designing the Galactica and many of the ins and outs. It's very interesting, much more informative than I am.
Actually, so it will, just so you know, it's actually coming out the week before this one.
Okay, then. So last week's mini-sode was all about Galactica, so go listen to that, basically.
Oh, no, sorry, 2 weeks ago.
Whatever, just go listen. No, because mini-sodes don't come out every week. And it is confusing. Anyway.
3 weeks ago.
Just remember, time is relative. Lunchtime
it is.
So.
Wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. It was designed by Lee Stringer, a fully CG model, and Zoic Studios, who also did Serenity and many cool things like that. So yes, that's my very kind of, I totally didn't do my homework this week, summing up of the Galactica. Shall we rate it?
Yeah, let's go for it. Let's rate this bugger.
This will go smoothly.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, no.
What's the worst that could happen?
Well, we're all here now. What else are we going to do?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. What else we got there? Anyway, stuff.
Yeah.
What else have a bunch of men in their late 30s, early 40s got to do with their time on a Friday night?
This shit is serious.
Andy. Before you mention your youth.
I wouldn't dream of possibly doing that.
Four men in the geeky fetus. That's what.
Well, that's the new subtitle for the posters right there.
Okay, go on.
Let's rate this mofo then, shall we?
Okay.
Yeah, let's get the easy one out the way first. Size.
She is 1,400 and blah blah blah. 1,438.64 meters, which I believe is a 10.
That is indeed a 10. Okie dokie. Well,
there we go. Off to a flying start.
Off to a flyer.
Unfortunately, as is tradition with me, I like my bricks, and it does go downhill a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
Sublight speed, that's a 1.
Yep, big fat 1.
That 1, yes,
yep,
yes. However, FTL, because we have those lovely Battlestar Galactica jump drives. Please refer to episode 3 if you want to know what we're talking about. But that's a 4.
Yep.
Is it though?
Yes, it is.
Limited instantaneous jump.
Instantaneous jump is 4 now, is it? I thought that was 3. Oh no,
limited instantaneous jump is 4.
Yeah.
Unlimited instantaneous jumps is 5.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey is 6.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. I'm already starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel is actually an oncoming train.
Battlestar in this instance. But, yes.
Yeah.
Maneuverability, again, we're a brick. We're all one.
Yep.
Look at that.
Go for it.
Okay, so firepower. Again, she's a pretty hefty piece of kit. She can pretty much take on anything up to her size and expect to walk away with it, as well as her heavy-duty batteries, which fire shells the size of VW Beetles. Although, if you believe Lee, actually VW Beetles, but that's not canon, so we're discounting that.
Yeah.
Not Lee,
It's
other
a
Lee.
very specific model to compare it to.
Yeah, it is.
This
It's
is
like,
what's...
why not a Vauxhall Astra?
No, again, we have this from the
Ford-
designer himself. He said
Yeah.
it fires shells the size of VW Beetles.
He's just got it in for Bumblebee. That's what that's about.
Basically, yeah.
My
And-
God,
and-
they're firing shells the size of a Seat Ibiza.
Oh my God! It's a
Being Beetles, you know those things are pretty much indestructible. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's like depleted uranium at that point.
yeah. Oh no! Look, it's a Fiat 500. Straight through the window. Well,
Pretty much, yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so
On top of that, she also has 12 missile tubes which launch either intercontinental or interplanetary ballistic missiles. I don't know which way you class them.
well, they don't go.
Interplanetary.
Well, you can't fire between planets.
You can't fire between planets, but you can fire from orbit down onto the planet and pretty much...
Which is more on the continent. So
Yes.
Inter-orbital.
Yes.
Inter-orbital.
Orbital ballistic missiles. We'll go with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, not ballistic because we're not. Anyway, we're getting confused.
Doesn't
Anyway,
matter.
my point is, she carries nuclear weapons,
Yes.
and Battlestar nuclear weapons are pretty hefty, as we see in the episode where the rising star goes poof, and very nice shot where the camera gets hit by debris. That was very fun to see as well.
Yeah.
So I think we're probably talking about a 10 for firepower, pretty much pegging it where Pegasus was at.
Well, that's what I was about to bring up, and here we go. Here we go.
Settle in, folks.
No. This is purely because I think this is housekeeping from Pegasus as much as anything. Because since we did Pegasus, we reassessed our firepower, and firepower at 10 is one shot a capital ship.
Yeah.
So it can't do that, and there's no instance in the entire series where it ever does that.
Yeah, the show would have been over a lot sooner if they could one-shot capital ships.
Exactly.
See that silent base star? Now you don't.
Yeah, exactly. And even the nukes that they fire from it, they're not powerful enough to take out any relative capital ship, which it has to do several times in the series. So either we have to reassess the one-shot capital ship, in which case everything changes up to 11, or...
No, my spreadsheet.
or, yeah, exactly. Or we give it a 9.
I'm happy giving it a 9.
Okay.
Just for the sake of Peter's sanity more than anything else.
Thank you kindly. I've got a very limited amount of it, so I'm
It's true, you know. It's in short supply.
Yeah, because we gave Pegasus a 10, but I the only way I'm kind of letting that fly now, because obviously we're not going back to rechange everything, but also because
Well, not today anyway.
But no,
that's coming.
But Pegasus did end up actually one-shotting a capital ship. It just did it with its
ramming speed.
Ramming speed.
Yeah.
But that's
I'd be closer. I need to hit
Does
them with my
pointing your
sword.
ship at something count as a shot?
well, not really, no. But the thing is,
But arguably taking one out does.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I suppose, yeah.
yeah, taking one out. I mean, if you're going to do it, do it in style. I mean, even the Enterprise E didn't do that in Nemesis. I got a Nemesis. I got a Nemesis comic then. Yeah,
Every week.
Every week.
Fucking week.
Yes. So
Anyway.
yeah, I'm quite happy to take the 9. So
Cool.
I'm fine with that.
Lovely. Okay, carry on then, sir.
Okay, so on the defense side of things, she's exceptionally heavily armored on account that she takes several nukes throughout the course of the series and survives. In fact, goes toe-to-toe with no less than 3 base stars at one point and more or less survives. In one piece. As for passive, though, more than anything.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
do-
right. I was gonna say.
yeah, let's do passive. I mean, I think we're talking heavy armor there.
Yeah, 2.
Yes.
Even though you have to put some weird Cylon black wallpaper paste over it towards the end because it's just falling apart. But,
It was properly falling apart at the end. But hell, that Cylon wallpaper paste is strong stuff, mate. It's like the resin goof from the Derelict.
oh god, it's,
At least the damn thing aged over time anyway, unlike certain other ships we could mention. Voyager.
yeah. Don't worry, that's next time. That's next time. Shush.
That comes later.
Comes later.
Oh.
So for active defense, what have we got? Well, we've got a huge amount of point defenses on that thing.
Mm-hmm.
She is properly nasty kind of you can't really get particularly close to her with bits and pieces. Where would we count things like Viper pickets and stuff like that? Does that come in active or extra?
I think we count that as
Special?
extras, don't we? Yeah, special. That's a special.
Okay. Well, I think in that case it's only for one on the active end because she's manoeuvrable as a fucking brick. She doesn't really have ECM stuff. No shields to speak of.
No.
So, no, we'll just take the one on the old active.
Okay, that's a 1. Cool. And
So
special.
on the special, again, largely we've got the Vipers doing their picket lines and so forth.
Which
and,
is 1 point.
I guess that's it. I don't really think I can really quantify the Raptors as a separate thing, even though they do have an ECM capability. But I think that just comes under the support
I
craft
was
doing
gonna
its
say,
thing.
That's
So.
the same thing. The only thing I would help you with here is in terms of its own defense, it does have that ability to not be hacked. It's got shields.
It's true, yes. It's non-network computers, which, again, was a designed thing to stop Cylons doing that nasty hacking into the system and turning your weapon against you. So, yes.
Yeah. So
No, I think that's good. And plus you get those very, very cool phones, for everything.
yeah, yeah. Nokia
Nothing
phone,
for them.
Nokia phones from 1975. So that's 2 for special by my measure.
Yes, thank you kindly. I will take the tour.
That's okay.
Okay. Now, as far as crew, originally she was intended to have a crew of about 5,000, but the Galactica, as we know her throughout most of the series, only had a crew of 2,900, mainly because she was on her way to be decommissioned, so there wasn't many people on board her at that point. Mm-hmm. So I'll take the 2,900 rather than the 5,000.
Okay, 2,900. So that's
7.
7, yes. So we're not having that issue we had last time with me getting the scores completely wrong. Looking at the wrong end of the scale.
Yeah.
Anyway, because you haven't heard it at this point, Dave. I looked at size instead of scale,
Right.
and instead of crew complement, and so I put in a completely wrong figure, and we had to sort of double back on the Dalek mothership and give it an extra number. So,
Excellent.
Total professionals.
Absolutely. Top men.
Top
men.
So then we come to competence, which this should be a fun one. I'm going to ask for 5, and I'll explain why I'm asking for the 5.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, the crew managed to survive the entire colonial military being utterly fucking destroyed. And although, as
By
you point
luck.
out, we have instances of mutiny twice, they were both organic and actually made sense in the context of the situation. People had been brought to a point where, in their mind, that was really the only option they had. I don't think that counts against the crew as a whole of competency. Plus, in both instances, they did recap the ship, which is fine. Plus, and again, massive spoiler alert here, but fuck it, it's been over for like 5 years at this point. They do make it to Earth. Most of them make it to Earth. So I would like 5, sir, for
Right.
competence.
Okay. Counter arguments.
To be fair, they were competent enough to stage a mutiny that didn't get put down, but they were also competent enough to overthrow that competent mutiny.
Absolutely, you see,
So that's
he gets
double
it.
competence.
It's double. In fact, I should be asking for a 6, really, but we'll get to that later.
I will also counter argument here.
Mm-hmm.
A number of them.
Okay,
One.
I'll begin.
Yeah. One. They don't actually. They keep finding Cylons within their own ranks.
That's hardly their fault at this point because A, you got Gaius Bolter, who is an absolute genius and also an absolute fucking. Is he a sociopath or a narcissist? What does he come under there?
Idiot.
Twat.
Yeah.
Twat. Basically, he's an absolute twat. So he has this reputation of being an absolute genius, and he knows all about the Cylons and everything like this, and keeps having hallucinations about one. So
Yep.
I'm not putting that against the truth, to be perfectly honest.
Do they lock him away? No, they bloody well promote him, don't they?
Excuse me, no, at what point they do?
Yeah, and then then he becomes president.
Yeah, and you saw how well that ended.
Yeah.
Yeah, but competence.
Competence.
I mean, it'd be
No,
like
I stand by the crew themselves.
it'd be like a bunch of people voting to leave Europe. I mean, what kind of a stupid crowd would do that? Oh, hang
Well,
on.
you raise an excellent point. Actually, I'd say a more apt would be a bunch of people electing Donald Trump as their nominee. But let's not dwell on politics and so forth. We can only hope that that's all.
And also, technically,
Go on,
does Boltar count as a crew member?
This was part of a point. I mean, he is on board the ship sort of thing. But fundamentally, the colonial crew on the Galactica are exceptionally competent at what they do. Every time a Cylon shows up, they don't faff around saying, gee, there's an unknown signal. Shall we get closer and see what happens? They don't go poking thing. It's set condition 1 throughout this ship, and jump the fuck away. Every single time.
Mm-hmm. And when it turns out that Boomer's a Cylon, what does the commander do?
Well, he locks her up.
Yeah.
Well, after he's been shot.
Yeah.
He locks her up.
Oh,
then
he gets shot. That's right. He gets shot by Boomer. That's.
Well, that has nothing to do with fucking competence. You got a
May I
agent.
ask a question, please?
How many security?
Yeah.
How many?
Excuse me.
Yep.
How much did the Pegasus crew get for competency?
Pegasus got 5 for competency.
Did it?
And-
Fucking
Yes.
hellfire.
So, and considering what the Pegasus crew got up to,
Mm,
you know what I mean? This is
yeah. It is worth noting that the Pegasus was kind of early doors for this podcast, and we may have to revisit.
Maybe on shaky ground.
You could either give me the 5 or you can settle in because it's going to be a long one.
Hey, no, I was going to go for 4 personally, but that
You can go for 4 you want. I want 5.
right, okay, fine. Well, then we may settle in because, as far as I can tell, they rely on someone as their Cylon scientist. So he's technically part of the crew, correct? You can't you can't turn around.
He is, well, actually, he's appointed by the president. So I'd say he's outside of the context of a crew. He's a civilian advisor, if you will.
So, but they still have to rely on him.
Well, of
He's
course,
still
because
part
they're
of the
told
crew.
that he is the foremost scientist on the Cylons.
Yeah, and so when it turns out that there is a
Aside
Cylon,
from anything else, he himself is very competent at pulling off this shit and not getting caught by it.
well, okay, one point of order before you shout over it, right?
I await with bated breath.
Good. Well, here we go. Saddle up. Basically, what happens? Baltar creates his little Cylon detector thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and everyone says, right, fine, and he scans everyone. Right, fine, yeah?
Right, yeah,
And
right.
then said Cylon, which has been scanned, goes and shoots the commander.
Well, because the Cylon detector didn't work.
Correct.
His own admission.
And then the crew of the Galactica continued to keep this guy on board as their Cylon advisor.
I don't think you're giving Gaius Baltar enough credit for just quite what a devious little bastard he was.
You're straw man.
and I would also. Isn't he appointed by the president?
Yes,
Yeah.
but
So
the point,
actually, they're ordered to keep him on by their commander in chief.
however,
So therefore, it's out of their control. isn't it?
However, the commander of the Galactica, his job is to keep him and everyone else safe, correct? And his
It
ship.
is, yeah.
So when it is revealed that the guy who invented a Cylon detector, it didn't work, and not only did it didn't work, it didn't work so spectacularly that one Cylon actually managed to get on board the ship and shoot the commander. The commander's next decision isn't to go to the president and say, "Get that guy off my ship," or "I don't trust him." It is to continue to have him on board the ship and trust him.
Well, yes, but as he points out, again, it's new technology. You know, there were variables he couldn't account for, something with the genetic matrix and all this. But the second time around, he was absolutely certain he'd worked out the bugs. I mean, these things happen when you're testing new technology. Again, they are working on the scantest of knowledge from bits they can gather because, as far as anyone knew, the Cylons were all fucking toasters.
Yeah, and obviously so obviously with the newer Cylon detector, he obviously detected certain members of the crew who were later revealed in season 3 and 4. That they
Yes,
were.
but at this point, he's looking out to save his own skin because he thinks he's a Cylon himself. Like I said, massive spoilers for Galactica. Anyone listening to this really shouldn't.
All I'm trying to say right now is that at this point, you've got to sort of start to question whether or not the commander is actually thinking 100% clearly, and he's fallible. In fact,
Of course he's fallible. He's human.
Well, in
but
which
regardless
case-
of that, with the information he is given at the time, he uses his best judgment to keep his ship, his crew, and his fleet alive.
and then immediately performs a suicide attempt on New Caprica, and is willing to sacrifice the Galactica to let the other ships get away to the Pegasus, and then sort of what? And then instead,
Well, yeah, but again, he didn't exactly turn up with the rest of the fleet, and he did order the Pegasus to remain behind to protect the rest of them. He was basically saying, okay, we have 30,000 of our people trapped on New Caprica, something that I, as the commander, was against, but I will respect the democratically elected government, and you want to do something fucking stupid? Fine. do something fucking stupid. He decided the best tactical fix situation was you leave 10,000 people in the ships behind with the Pegasus to protect, and I will take the Galactica, what I view to be the most expendable resource, and try and rescue the 30,000. That's a calculated risk.
Okay. Fine. Well argued, sir. Unless anyone else wants to step in, but I was going for 4. Because I don't know any other ship that has that many mutinies and that many infiltrators and that and being well aware that there's infiltrators everywhere and then just carrying on as per normal.
Honestly, I haven't watched enough Galactica to be able to have take an informed size one way or the other. I think I've pitched in all of my Battlestar Galactica knowledge in the contents of this conversation.
Okay, what about you, Pete?
Are you there?
Oh no! Don't tell me you dropped off.
For her. Well, hey, what?
Come back to us, Pete. Step away from the light.
Come back to us, Carrie Ann.
Just having a nap.
We have flashbacks to episode 3.
There's no escape. That kind of the idea with 5, wasn't it? Was the legendary crew.
Yep.
And yes, they do make some questionable decisions, but as Andy originally pointed out, the fact that they get home in any state at all, I think counts them as legendary. So I'm happy with 5.
I will take the consensus view then.
Thank you kindly.
He won't take it happily, but he'll take it.
Yeah, I know. I never said I'd take it with any kind of grace. Fuck.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us were expecting grace, to be honest with you.
No.
Yeah, no grace or humility here. Fuck you.
Yeah. Screw you guys, I'm going home.
Yeah. Suddenly, all the scores on the on the spreadsheet just vanish.
And the table in CRC suddenly gets flipped over.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, once they've
the card is bolted down.
Yeah.
Once they've wiped sort of like the blood from all of sort of Adama's sort of multiple wounds on it. Once they wipe that off, obviously. After being
as an aside, can I just say how good was that cliffhanger?
Oh, that was a moment, wasn't it?
It was so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's just Galactica. It's so good. If you haven't watched it, why are you still listening to this? And go and watch it. So yeah. Anyway.
Oh, anyway, I'll be going then.
Yeah. No, you've got to stay here.
Yeah, you'll start. You signed up for this.
Yeah, you knew the risks.
Okay. I think you'll find you're glued to the chair.
Yeah. I think you'll find escape quite impossible, Mr. Probert.
Right.
Realization. Exterior realization. I'm going to ask for 5. I'm going to ask for 5 because to this day it remains one of the best realized CG models on the exterior wise. Again, having spoken to Lee recently on how it was designed, it was very interesting.
Make it clear because it keeps sounding like you're talking about me.
I'm not talking about this, Lee. I'm talking about, so Lee Stringer. Talking about when we were speaking to Lee Stringer about the design, it was very interesting how. Again, when we initially see the Galactica, it's got this ribbed structure setting sort of thing, and we all assume that it was just missing bits of armour. But again, Lee explains that no, there was actually thought into why these things were done in that sort of thing. He thought about the way the ship would engage in combat, how the ship would operate. And again, throughout the course of the series, the model evolved, it changed. As Peter mentioned earlier, you still have damage which occurred in the pilot is represented on the model in the final episode. Although by the time you get to the final episode, there's so much damage on the bloody thing, it's kind of hard to tell. But it was just fantastically realised. And it was the first time you really got a sense of a ship aging throughout the course of a series.
Yep.
I think it's fantastically well done. And again, there's some fantastic set pieces. The Battle of the Resurrection Ship, New Caprica, the attack on the colony, the arrival at Earth. These scenes are still, to this day, some of the best CG and space battles that I've seen. So I would like 5 for that exterior realization, please.
Well, I'm not going to argue, but anyone else?
I'm trying to spot the bridge. That's my problem.
It's on the front. It's on the front.
Okay, so I'll reference it when we come to the interior. But you see, they put the bridge somewhere where you couldn't just launch a nuke at it.
Oh, where's the fun in that? You mean it's hidden away somewhere inside?
They don't play attack wing, mate. No.
Dear, dear.
I think they just sort of found that when fighting the Cylons, having a gigantic target saying, "Here's our command staff," with something of a disadvantage in battle.
Yeah, but seriously uncool though.
And that's what the cool score's for.
Yeah.
Well, indeed. Yes.
Incidentally, I'll tell you one thing though, Peter.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got this far, so you didn't realise it, but there is actually a viewing platform at the very front of a ship, and you can see where that is.
Yeah.
I do vaguely remember. I have seen it all, But
Have you?
It's just,
Okay.
it's a while ago though, so
Okay.
we're due a rewatch.
Okay. Well, I'm happy. I'm happy with a 5, not just because we interviewed the person who made it.
I was about to knock a point off having found an image, but then I realised it's somebody's Trek version.
Oh God. No.
It's seriously ugly. I'll send it your way in a minute.
No. Please don't.
Yeah. What the Galactica is also a thing, apparently.
Yeah, it is. Oh my life.
Oh God. Yeah. Anyway, so are you going to argue anything other than a 5? Anyone? Or
Going once, going twice.
bang?
No, I'm happy with a 5.
5 it is. Right. Okay.
Gold to the man in a Battlestar.
Yeah.
Okay, and interior realisation, again, I'm going to ask for 5. The set's fantastic, really well realised. You've got a real sense of weight to everything with big spinny handles on hatchways and everything like this, and a real sense that this was a ship where if you were to have a decompression in one section, the rest of the ship would be able to survive. You had the really cool hangar bay sets as well, where you had the Vipers would move in and out into the launch tubes. The CIC, I love the CIC set, with everything around the central table, and it's all represented on the big DRADIS monitors above the bridge, and it just had a sense of realism to it almost, this sense that this could be a real living, working ship, which was largely their idea from the get-go. And things as well, like with the Dharma's quarters and everything like that, you had a sense of a man within those, but at the same time, you could still instantly tell it was on the Galactica. I mean, yes, you can't tell where the bridge is as you can in something like a Trek ship, but quite frankly, that doesn't make a lot of sense. And when they were designing the Enterprise D, they originally were going to put the bridge inside the saucer until Gene Roddenberry said, no, it's got to be on the top or Peter won't be happy.
Exactly. A sensible man.
So again, something which came out of our discussion with Lee Stringer is one thing that's always bothered me about the Galactica was how do they move fighters between the flight pods? But they thought of it, and he explained it, and it was awesome. It's like, yes, that makes sense. So, yes.
So there you go.
A little bit.
So you're geeking out.
Yes.
So you're giving it a 5. Anybody, any advances on that? Because I'm not going to argue this one.
No, I'm not going to argue that either.
Yeah, splendid stuff interior-wise.
Lovely. Right, 5 it is. Okay, science.
Science, well, again, there's a few things where it takes a few liberties with, things such as FTL drives,
Anti-gravity.
and gravity. To be perfectly honest, those aren't anything that we don't particularly see in anything like Trek or Star Wars or anything like that. Outside of that, no lasers, which is interesting, as opposed to most science fiction shows. There's no phasers. It's all rail guns and heavy kind of projectiles launched. The fighters and everything like that, and the ships do obey Newton's laws, where, if you're flying forward, you need to spin around to go the other way.
Yep.
And so on and forth like that. So I'm going to ask for 4 for the science. Again, it's not absolutely foolproof because, as we've seen, but, I think it's certainly on a par with things we've seen in Star Trek and, other shows of that sort of an ilk.
Yeah, the only thing I would knock it a point, and this is me just knocking it because I'm putting my science hat on, is the amount of times that ship gets hit with nukes and yet everyone seems to not have their hair or teeth falling out.
They do explain this
Mm-hmm.
to a certain extent. She has the water tanks all lined along the exterior of the crocodile section, which is largely where the crew quarters and everything like that are. And water is a fantastic.
Oh yeah, I know that. But then when the hull starts to split, you don't start seeing water pouring out or any water freezing on the outside hull or any of that stuff.
Oh, they don't go to that extent in the CG, but they do ignore. I mean, you see that in, I think it's the 3rd episode in the first series. That's where the water tanks are. They reference it. They reference they need to refill those tanks. We see that again with the rib structure that it has on there, that's very good at dissipating heat and things like that. It's like a massive heat sink. So I think at the very least they have looked into it.
Fair enough. In which case, yeah, I'll give it a 4.
You think? I mean, not to sort of stir the boat.
No, go for it. No, stir the boat. That's what.
Because I thought like five's like Tyson proof, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Just
go for it. Come on, go for it.
No, I'm just
For context, Star Trek ships generally get a 4.
right.
And I quite frankly, I think this ship is more scientifically accurate than Star Trek as a whole.
Well, I mean, it's gritty. I don't know if it's necessarily more scientifically. I mean, yes.
Cloaking devices, phasers, black holes in the starship.
Well, yeah, but they're using different trappings, certainly, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's more realistic.
Yeah, that's very true.
Like, like your fantasy can have either orcs or unicorns. It doesn't make it any more realistic.
No, I get your point, but I think, again, looking at other ships which have gotten a 4 in the past, the Nostromo, the Serenity, the Trek ships, as enlarged sort of thing, Thunderbird 3, God only knows how, but that did, the Eagle Transporter. I don't think there's really anything in Galactica that is away with the fairies any more than any of those. I mean, the thing is, to get a 5, you've got to be in that level of The Martian, 2001. You know, you've got to pretty much tick off all the points.
To be fair, if Firefly got... No, sorry, if Serenity got a 4, then, I will accede to previous precedent.
Yeah. I mean, I think what this has done is highlighted very, very clearly that science perhaps needs a little revisiting.
Calibration, maybe, just a tad.
Yeah, we might need to recalibrate the science thing at some point.
An awful lot of ships.
Yeah.
Put it this way: at some point in the not too distant future, probably when we all come back from our little jaunt in August,
yes.
There is going to be a massive revisit of everything.
Yeah,
and we will call that episode the Sundering or the Thunderdome or Mad Max or whatever you want to call it, because I don't think anyone's walking out of that unbroken.
No, I think it might just have to be the season cliffhanger, and then we just take a break for 6 months.
It'll be Mr. Organ, fire.
Just like a massive burp.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, the sound of Mr. Owl hooting.
Oh, we're not letting that shit on this podcast, are we?
No, fuck him.
We have some standards, yeah.
Exactly.
Not many, but some.
Anyway,
Prick.
Okay, right. Well, I mean, given past precedent 4, I mean, I have to say that I do think we really need to think about science a bit.
I don't think you're wrong there.
Okay, so we got 4 of us with for the cool. So how do we split it up again? It's 3, 2, 2, and 2.
It is,
isn't
yes.
it? So Andy, what are you going to give it from 1 to 3?
I will give
No. Hang on. It's 4-2, isn't it? We made this mistake before.
Sorry, 4, 2, 2, 2. Yes, to make 6. Yeah.
God, how did we end up in the situation where I was the maths expert? I flunked maths at GCSE.
it should tell you how good the rest of us did.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Because you're the only one typing things into the spreadsheet, Pete. That's
Yeah,
could be.
And the other thing is also because I got an unqualified on maths. I actually got kicked out of school with 0 maths qualifications of any kind.
Yeah, same here.
So there you go.
I
never even took the exam.
So, what chance have I got?
So there you go.
Look at us now.
Yeah.
With my superior mathematical ability, look at me now.
Yeah, look how we rule our lands.
It's a bit like in that film The Postman, isn't it? Where the photocopy of a repairman ends up ruling the world. That's Peter.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king.
Yeah.
Okay, so
anyway, for cool, I will give it all of my 4 because I love the Galactica. I love the design. I love everything about it.
Okay, then Pete.
It's just a bit awkward because if I had 3 to play with, I would give it 2 out of 3 because I prefer the original Battlestar Galactica design.
Well, then give it 2.
But on the basis, it seems really harsh to give it 1 out of 2.
Well, you can go down to 0. Remember, you can go to 0.
Yeah.
No. I said, literally, I would have given it just 1 less than perfect, but 1 less than perfect is only half now. I will give it the full 2.
Okay, so it's on 6 right now. What about you, Dave?
I will give it a 1 for the same reason as Peter, insofar that I do prefer. I like the modern Galactica. I kind of prefer the original, but that's just personal preference. But which is what this score's about. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to give it 2 because I think it's a lovely redesign of the ship. I'll be honest with you, at first when I first saw it, I thought it was the ugliest thing I've ever seen. And yet, as the series went on, it was probably the most consistent thing out of the whole series, where I was kind of like, oh, that's so good.
It grew on you, didn't you? There was particular shots in the fleet, usually when it kind of, the ragtag fleet would be there, and all of a sudden the Galactica would jump into the middle of it. And then the camera would have to pull back, and it's just like,
Again, that may be why I don't, because I haven't watched that much Galactica, why I don't have that same kind of emotional connection to it that you guys do. So I don't sort of like, maybe I'll be desperately throwing my 2 at it like an old lady in a Tom Jones concert.
That's no way to talk about my wife. And she has seen Tom Jones in concert, by the way.
Has she thrown her 2 at him?
Dread to think.
Right, well, there you go. Well, with that fantastic bombshell, we wrap up the Galactica with a grand total of 65 points, which brings it in not only into the top 10, but above the Pegasus.
Yeah.
well, that seems quite apt, quite frankly.
Yeah.
It's a lot prettier than the Pegasus, so I'm pleased with that.
Yeah, there you go. And
The
knocking
Bucket and the Beast, side by side.
And it's knocked whatever the hell was. Oh, it knocked a base star
The
off.
Silent Base Star, ironically.
Oh my God. It's all coming together.
Just as planned.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to take a new series Silent Base Star now to try and outdo it, aren't I?
I wouldn't. That will not end well for you, sir.
Oh, I don't know. I'd give it an extra 10 points for crew just because of was it
Constantly infiltrated the Galactica.
To be fair, I'll give you points for the 6s and the 8s and maybe the 1s.
Yeah.
Lose points.
I was going to say a final shot of 1,000 naked boomers standing outside of a raptor gives it an instant.
Dude, I was already really, really feeling hot. What you going to drop that for?
There will now be a brief intermission.
Well, after Tom Jones,
shower.
You have to remember that in the next room there was 1,000 naked Dean Stockwells standing there.
Oh, that's
as well.
Yeah. Oh wow, there you go. Yeah. Lucy Lawless in milky baths and stuff like that. There you go. Anyway, just take a second. Right. Anyway, right. Moving on. So there you go. So we're in the top 10 already. Look at that. Whew.
Love you, Charlie.
Blimey Charlie indeed. Right, well then.
The rest of us have a mountain to climb.
So, yes, we're on to the next one. Woohoo! Yay! And so that is, Peter, over to you.
Okay, so we're moving into new territory here because we've not done Transformers before on the basis that most of them, unfortunately, are sentient and therefore are disqualified on the basis they don't need a crew. But, of course, it does leave us with one juicy ship. Right from the beginning.
Sorry?
2 juicy ships. You're just choosing one of them.
Oh, God.
See one then.
How can
the Decepticon one, obviously.
Oh, you barely see that for 2 seconds, man.
How can we have an argument?
Rather than the epic Wagner ring cycle that the Ark gets.
Well, exactly. It's there for the whole series, admittedly embedded in a bloody mountain, but
The other one's there as well. It's under the bloody ocean. You get the little elevator which comes all the way up every episode.
How can we have an argument about a fucking introduction? How does that happen?
I don't know if we're managing it.
A single line about a ship that you never fucking see. I mean, I know I'm one for arguments, but God's sakes.
We thought we'd give you a break this week, Lee.
Someone lay off the coffee. Jesus. Go on, Pete. Over to you,
Can I
sir.
continue?
Yeah, no. You just don't say anything that's totally contentious. Is it the Ark? Are we doing the Ark? Go on. Over to you, dude.
The Ark is a Vanguard-class deep space interceptor. So now you know, or perhaps now you know her. Hey, get it?
Oh,
Get it?
God.
No.
What is it there?
No.
Okay, religious jokes are out. Okay, the ever-changing Transformers Wiki tells us that it has 5 decks and houses a full crew complement of 300 Transformers.
I've just looked again. It's 6 decks.
No, it's 4.
That's 11.
Although it can be flown by only a handful if necessary. Well, thanks for that, Transformers Wiki. How many's a handful then, you bastards?
Yeah.
Anyway, it has a computer that controls many of the onboard functions, including keeping several dozen Autobots alive in hibernation for 4 million years of Earth history. Engine-wise, it has 4 hyperfuel intake accelerators, which means absolutely jack shit. It is armed with 16 particle combustion cannons to the port and 16 laser emitters to the starboard, which is a very odd configuration. We want to fire the laser emitters. Oh, shit, they're on the wrong side. Turn around.
Do a barrel roll.
Yeah,
3-point turn. 3-point turn.
It's a spaceship like that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Just slam on the brakes. Let him go over us.
It has a primary Starfield missile launcher, whatever that means, and an overshock sonic battery, which is just somebody turning the volume up on the stereo, I think. To be honest, we don't really see these weapons in action very much, thanks to the ship being embedded in a volcano for most of the series. I've done it again, haven't I?
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
That is an unfortunate. You've got the only ship which actually is seen in space once and spends the rest of its natural life that we see
In a mountain.
buried in the side of a mountain.
Which, in fairness, is a step up from the Dalek ship that you bought in a couple of episodes ago.
And
But there are Eagle transporters that are pissing themselves laughing right now.
Yeah, at least we took off.
well, laugh all you like, but in the comics, I'm reliably informed by the
You don't want to open that can of worms, my friend.
Here we go.
You're opening yourself up to a world of pain if you start citing the comics here.
Okay.
Well, it does take off again, then crashes on Cybertron, or taking off again to crash on the Earth again.
I fear your crew competence is going to take something of a hit.
Yeah, I was going to say was one of the crew like a replica of Alan from Moonbase Alpha? I mean,
May as well be.
Gonka Frinchams. Not land, as far as I remember, we're programmed to crash on it.
Given the multiple choice nature of the continuity of Transformers, I am basing my stats as much as possible on the yellow cartoon version. On the basis, the comics version changes quite a bit according to artist, and mostly looks like a bad Etch-a-Sketch effort, to be honest. The downside is the one in the cartoon, the cartoon, is not called the Ark in the actual series.
Not disqualified then, because you're not bringing
But
the right.
fans have generally applied the comics, the cartoon counterpart. So there we go. It's kind of canon.
Well, what is it called in the show then?
It's not called anything. That's the problem, because it literally turns up and crashes into a mountain. So why bother calling it anything?
Oh my god!
So yeah, don't bother getting attached.
The only thing it's going to get attached to is a big lump of rock.
Hey ho.
What do we call this ship? I wouldn't get too close.
I'd call it "Don't park there."
Who's steering this fucker? That's what we can call it.
The USS Imminent Insurance Claim.
The US.
Has your spaceship been involved in an accident? Have you crashed into a volcano at work? If so, you might be entitled to compensation.
Hey, Soundwave, can you get me a better deal on my car insurance? Oh, yes.
Oh god. Apparently there's a picture, by the way, of the Ark actually taking off, and it was on an unseen bumper sticker which reads, "Primus is my co-pilot." Whatever the hell that means. So whoever Primus is, he's the blind guy who's currently face planted inside the mountain.
Isn't Primus the Transformers god?
Is he?
I think so.
Yes. It's a piss take of Christian stickers on the back of cars.
Oh my word!
Co-pilot. Yes.
This just gets worse. Okay.
Hey, you went down that particular rabbit hole. Don't blame me for that one.
Hey, you've got a ship where on the wiki I'm looking at like 8 pictures, and every single picture it looks different.
Yeah. That's why I'm only taking it from the cartoon. I'm mostly ignoring the wiki and focusing on what I saw in the first episode of Transformers, which I rewatched the other day and went, oh, bugger, it crashes and that's it, isn't it? But anyway.
Every picture looks different, but you know what's consistent? The presence of rock.
It is consistently inconsistent, though. So we'll give it that.
Yeah. I mean, you know, in a sort of like in a sort of in the progression of scientific discovery of granite. I mean, it's done leaps and bounds in that field. I mean, is it flown by Tony Robinson? Is it part of Time Team?
I have a cunning plan, Optimus.
Yeah, Optimus Prime going, I might not be able to move out of my chair, but I can actually see the remnants of a Roman fort. And here's a pot right in my face.
Can I just, a very, very, very brief digression on something I've only just realised. Literally just this moment realised, right? It is 4 million years from the time when the Ark crashes until the time when the Transformers were awoken in the mid-'80s, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And yet the computer at some point decides to wake some of the Transformers up as dinosaurs.
Yeah.
But dinosaurs were died out 65 million years ago.
No, the dinosaurs, the Dinobots are awakened much earlier and left to get on with things, basically.
But the ship crashed and it was only there for 4 million years.
Cave paintings? I don't know.
Shut up, that's why? Is that what we're going with?
Let's read from the Gospel of Black Dog, page 1, chapter 1, verse 1, line 1. Shut up, that's why.
Actually, I made something just for that sort of occasion, which, you know, feel free to use in future. It's in the chat.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Yeah, that's it. Anyway, go on, carry on. This.
If it were rails, we're so far from them at this point, you know.
However,
Okay.
as far as geography,
where I got to? Okay, right, yeah. So in the cartoon series, it's a much sleeker design than in the comics, which is why I've gone for the cartoon series, and it's in fetching banana yellow as well, which is always appealing. And
you wouldn't call that Cardassian yellow?
Pun? No. Excuse me, puntastic, the appealing gag.
Yes,
Points
thank you.
deducted. Shots
Hey!
fired. Shots fired.
I worked long and hard on this script. It's on board computer.
Teletran 1.
Teletran, which sounds like it's just a version of CFAX, doesn't it?
It was about as effective as that.
I've got visions of the Autobots getting the pools results on a Saturday. All the pages scroll, damn it.
Someone press hold.
It'll be long in a minute, it'll be fun. Press hold!
It left Cybertron under the command of Optimus Prime, searching for fuel, but was attacked by Megatron and crashed on Earth. The crashed ship served as the Autobots' headquarters to begin with. The Decepticons have left before they came to. Something of a tactical mistake on the Decepticons' part, surely. I mean, they could have just, killed all the Autobots while they're still asleep and end of series, but hey-ho. But we're not, thankfully, counting the Decepticons' competence in this, because then I really would be in trouble.
Very briefly, I sent a picture of the interior to you. It's a suggestive-looking joystick there on the side.
Oh, my life. Yeah. Well, we don't want to know what that's used for. Let's move on. Ratchet, why have you got a big smile on your face? Anyway.
It gets very lonely in deep space.
Yeah, it does. Various additions were made to the Ark over time, but since the ship never flew again after the crash, we need to stay focused on its original configuration. Eventually, it was replaced by Autobot City, which I believe was a hit for the Casey and the Sunshine Band in the late 70s. When the Beast Wars cartoon came along, and you'll like this, folks, they redesigned the Ark to look like this. And tell me what this reminds you of.
Uh-oh. Okay, let's open this up. Let's have a look.
It's a Hideki class.
Exactly.
What the fuck is that?
Suspiciously like the Defiant in that one. Funny that.
Oh, God.
With exactly the same docking port stroke strange thing on the front.
And
anyway,
still no fucking airlock at the front.
Yes. On the basis you Philistines don't appreciate the Defiant's beauty, I'm going to stick to Old Yeller if it's all the same to you.
Oh, for goodness sake. The original looks like bloody someone cut the Defiant in half. It does.
The original looks like a Tomy handheld video game that you used to hold up to your eyes like a pair of binoculars, and you had to play it in certain daylight.
3D Vista Vision, wasn't it? Or something like
Yeah.
that.
I did have Space Invaders though, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's sleek and cool, so there.
Yeah, you also bought a ship which hadn't been into space before.
And you've got another one which is
Previously, I've learnt my lesson. This one's been in space.
It's true. It's
And
true.
spend
It fell from it magnificently.
and spent 65 million years embedded in a wall.
Yeah, so there we go. Shall we go with size?
You
This is quite easy.
You can't count the mountain. All right, I'm just telling you that now.
Yeah, the mountain itself doesn't count. It's not part of a ship.
Now here we hit a slight hitch.
Oh, another one.
Because if you're using the Transformers as what you're basing your calculations on, you're into a world of hurt right there.
Yeah, because the scale in all the versions of the Transformers series, along with the toys, which were combined originally, of course, from several originally separate toy lines and therefore weren't in scale with each other, is something of a joke. I mean, just take the example of Jetfire, which is a massive, great big jet that turned into a massive, great big robot, and one of the Decepticon planes that was supposedly the same size but came up to his knee, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Hey-ho. With the help of the all-wise llama god, I've managed my best guestication, okay? Given that Optimus Prime is generally considered to be 40 foot high, that's just over 12 metres, and given that on screen in the cartoon he has plenty of headroom, that's at least further 2 metres, so that gives us 14 metres per deck. And on the running score on the Transformers Wiki, the thing has 5 decks. 5 times 14, so that's 70 metres high. Okay. So we've got the height. But of course, that's not the biggest dimension. We always go with the biggest. I would say, and this is open to discussion, she's at least 5 times as long as she is high. So a conservative estimate on length would be 350 metres, which gives us a 3 or 4.
On the basis that you went through that many hoops, when you could have just said 300 metres, and we would have probably just accepted that as fact, I say give him the points.
With that, yeah.
Yeah, you get the 4 for effort.
Yeah.
I do my work.
Because, to be fair, it's the highest score he's going to get.
He raises an excellent point, to be fair.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. Let's be generous and give him a 5, so that he at least gets into double figures by the time he gets to defence.
I'd say you're too kind, but clearly that would be, in the face of the evidence.
So it's kind of like that bit in Shane when Jack Palance gives the little Mexican fella a gun and tells him to pick it up.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Away you go. No, go on. You can have your 4. I'm not letting you pick up the weapon. I'm going to be interested to see how this next bit plans out, mind you.
Okay, Sublight, unknown, because we barely see it move, so that's 1.
Unless, of course, you're counting the sublight as in the speed of the Earth, in which case it rotates. In which case, then you've got at least some sort of value.
We're into geographic terms now, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly.
FTL, going on previously established precedent, she must have had one to travel from Cybertron to Earth, because it's gazillions of miles away, and it's a minute of on-screen time, but we don't actually know what sort of FTL it is, so 1.
Yep.
1.
Maneuverability, this is quite easy. She flies right into a mountain. 1.
1, yeah.
It's a flying mountain.
Yeah. I was going to say, the mountain's actually scoring quite well here in this situation.
I'm every mountain.
It's actually doing better than the ship, to be honest.
Larvely. Anyway, firepower. Now, you'd noticed I ran off quite a few in those stats, but I remember I was sticking with the cartoon version. On screen, we see a laser which shoots a path through a meteor shower, then runs out of juice before they can defend themselves from the Decepticons.
I think that decision counts as competence rather than...
Stop pressing the fire button, Jazz.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting a distinct sense of on the scores for weapons.
If we look at what we've established as previous scoring, I think it's surely a ship that big has got a better firepower than a simple fighter. But possibly, on the basis of the evidence, not much better than a Y-wing or a bomber. So we're looking at 3, I think.
In fairness, as by your own measure, it actually runs out of weapons firing at an asteroid.
Yeah, it's a fair
Several. No, this is a whole asteroid field. It's not just one asteroid, but yes, it does run out of shooting at the asteroid field.
That puts it as a 2 by my measure. Because it's not really doing much at all. It's basically it's firing like fighters.
Guys, help here, guys.
Well, I tell you what. If anything, it's reminiscent of the Defiant. It's almost like a vacuum cleaner, but you set from suck to blow. Kind of blows the asteroids out of the way as it goes through the field.
And do you know what? This really does suck. So there you go.
It really does.
I would have to sort of go with a 3 because it runs out of juice, but while it's firing, it's quite those rocks don't know what hit them.
Oh no, they're gone in a second. It's a one-shot kill on a bunch of rock.
Yeah.
which is the ultimate irony that the rock hits back and it actually loses.
We know
turns up.
We know that Transformers lasers are the single most ineffective lasers of all time.
Unless it's film.
Unless it's the film. But up until that point, at no point did we do anything worse than perhaps use harsh language effectively.
Yeah.
So I've got 2, a 3. I'm going with a 3. Mr. Andy.
So a 2 is fighters and a 3 is bombers, like Y-wings. I'll give you the 3 because
yeah, it's figures, fan crud.
Double figures. There you go. Defense is quite good because you can count the mountain.
Do I get a point for the mountain?
Count the mountain under passive.
Okay. Active. It has lasers that can shoot down incoming meteors.
As long as we don't run out of power.
Yeah.
As long as they don't run out of power. That might be a 1.
That's a 1.
Actually, that's a fair point, actually. Does that laser count as firepower, or is that a point defense weapon?
Good point. Well made. It does count as firepower because they are using it. Again, they were going to use it against the Decepticons.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm not gonna completely kick this to the curb and then stomp it, but I've got to be fair.
Yeah, you're doing a fairly good job of it all the same.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm
passive. There are no sign of shields. Hence, it has to shoot the asteroids before it hits the ship.
So
at best, we're looking at 2 for heavy armor. Although, of course, our passengers do survive crashing into a mountain, so it's got to be reasonable armor for that reason.
Yeah. What do we have for active? 1.
1. So 2 for passive, I think.
Yeah, 1 for active, 2 for passive.
Special. It's got the protection of a big mountain. That's got to be good. It has armed support craft, aka the Transform themselves. So that's
okay. I 2 points here. As precedent as set in the episode of Lee Metcalf versus the USS Reliant, I don't believe the mountain was actually fitted with it a standard build. So I don't quite think that counts. Secondly, your Transformers are your crew. They're not your special sort of...
They're both. That's why they're special, you see, because they can fly out.
No. They're not a boarding party. The crew
they're not a specialist marine detachment. They are the crew.
Yeah, but they're both. That's just it. They could both. Well, when we get to the crew, by the way, it doesn't take an awful lot to crew them.
Okay, let me.
May I make a suggestion for special?
Yes.
A computer with the ability to rebuild the.
I was getting to that as well. That was going to be my 3rd point, but I've had 1 point definitely crushed. But I still say it's got armed support craft because the Transformers can transform into craft.
Point of order. Let's just take a hypothetical. The Ark is in space, it's being attacked, and then they push a daft truck out the window.
No, but they're not trucks at this point. That's just it. Some of them are spacecraft. It's only once they hit Earth and then get revived in the 20th century that they get reconfigured as big trucks and ambulances and such useful vehicles as that. And cassettes, of course.
Yeah, and cassette decks. And,
But at this point, because in the pilot, you do clearly see them on Cybertron. They're like ships and they're fast-moving tanks and stuff.
Yes,
they're a lot cooler.
which, funnily enough, look exactly like a transformed Porsche 911 when in their robot mode. Or VW.
Yeah, that is a bit of an inconsistency, as we say, because they don't change the models of the robots. So you've got, like, Jazz, who's quite clearly a Porsche, and he transforms into this great big tank thing. And you think, how did that happen? What?
Again, point of order, most of the Autobots are land vehicles, which isn't very good
most
for a spaceship.
But not all, it has to be said. There are a few flying ones.
Which one?
Again, on
Cybertron.
Cybertron.
Point of order as well.
Mm.
So if the Autobots are a support craft, if the Ark launched all of its support craft in order to sort of defend itself, would it or would it not just fly into the first thing that hit it because there was nobody driving?
Well, to be fair, it actually did deploy
Like
its support craft. It did deploy its support craft in the pilot episode, and we saw how well that hindered.
Well, yeah, it deployed its support craft in the fucking windscreen.
Yes. I'm happy to give you one for Teletran 1. After 4 million years, if you give a thing a good kick, it will come back to life and rebuild your crew. But that's as far as I'm going to go with that.
Yeah, I don't take armed support craft from anything where they all reconfigure into land vehicles. So
again, they're not all land vehicles. There's at least a couple of planes amongst them.
What, Jetfire?
Not the Decepticons, yeah, but not the Autobots.
Yeah, no, the Autobots. They've got Jetfire. They've got
Jetfire is not on the Ark.
No.
Jetfire was buried in the ice and discovered
now,
later.
what was the other plane I had?
The aerial bots. Of a little red one, that was
yeah,
I know one you mean. But yeah, still, he's shit. He wants to pick flowers and hang out with girls, so he doesn't count.
I still say armed support craft.
So basically you've got a bunch of trucks and a pacifist fighter plane.
Again, they're not trucks to begin with, though. That's the whole thing. It's not
they're
until
tanks.
the crash
They're tanks.
that they're redesigned.
Okay, but do they actually deploy? Do any of them deploy during a fight, which they lose anyway? Do any of them deploy?
No.
So they aren't really support craft. At this
They are the crew. If Captain Picard grabbed a phaser and jumped out the window of the Enterprise, he's not been deployed as an armoured support
But again,
craft.
no. So my whole point about that is actually, when we get to crew, it doesn't take too many of them to actually fly. There are lots of other Autobots hanging around doing not an awful lot when they could actually be going out and defending the ship, but they don't.
Yes, but they still have other jobs to do on the ship, I would assume, I would hope.
Yeah, and also
literally, they're just hanging around doing nothing, the stupid pilots.
if a member of the crew jumps out of the door, that doesn't automatically make them a support craft.
They transform into a spaceship.
But then they're not a
Or
spaceship.
give Riker a piggyback and jump out the fucking airlock. It wouldn't make him
Yeah,
a
but Riker doesn't transform into anything other than a sex machine when he's too
Can I
far away.
just bring up one point, right? When we define spaceships, we define them as things that are piloted by other things, correct?
Yes.
So your armed support craft aren't piloted by anyone. So they don't qualify anyway.
But normally bring any very few of the armed support craft, you think about it, because they don't normally travel interstellar. They're being carried by another ship. That's the whole point of the armed support craft.
But they're not. So they're not craft.
The bottom line is, guys, okay, we don't actually see this happen on screen. That's how it should have happened, but it didn't happen. So
instead, they crashed into a mountain.
One for Teletran for waking up and turning him into robots that transform into players. Fair enough.
One for CFAX.
Quick, find that guy that nobody likes from accounts and throw him out the window. Armed support craft.
Tell him we're launching fighters.
I do know we're missing the point of Transformers here, but never mind.
Take Jeff from accounts and throw him out the window. Tell him he's armed support craft.
Does Jeff transform into a spaceship? Oh no.
Maybe he does.
No.
But he won't know.
Get Phil from the mailroom to stand on his back and ride him like a surfboard.
Give him some cardboard wings and throw him out. Tell him he's doing the Lord's work and just smash him into the windscreen of the approaching vessel.
It lands on the Decepticon screen going...
Oh, God.
Just spray it a little, that'll loosen it up.
That guy with a bad body odor, throw him out as well. Send him on the jet. Tell him he's part of the
Now, there's a question. Do Transformers have body odour?
Oh, God, I'm crying. Oh.
Fuck off, Jeff. Save us. Oh, God. Oh, sorry. Well.
Oh, my life.
Well, like the Transformers wiki, I'm sure the crew size is going to keep changing because everyone's falling out of the ship. So how many? Let's move on. Go on, Pete. Carry on, please.
Oh, the sound of desperation.
Oh, it's all gone quiet. Pete, tell me you haven't just dropped off the network. Or is he just waiting for us, or is he turned the mic off and he's smashing things up? Okay, I'm ready.
Are we quite finished?
No, not quite.
I had more, but we can move on.
Good. Crew. Oh, God.
None.
Judging by the number of seats on the bridge
Oh, my God.
and sidestepping why robots need seats in the first place, we have
docking ports to the support craft.
there are about 5 flight crew. Although, you might want to include Ratchet as the medic and Wheeljack as the engineer, all to count as well. So we get about 7 for operating crew because all the others could be used as armed support craft.
I'll throw you a bone here, right? There were 23 Autobots that launched from Cybertron on this mission with Optimus. We know there's many more Autobots available. I put it to you that they chose 23 because that's how many they needed to operate the Ark and to do that mission. Ergo, those 23 would count as crew.
That's a lot more generous than what I was going for, but yeah, I'm happy to go with that.
Right.
23 would be what?
I don't know. I wasn't prepared for that. 23 would be...
Nor was I 20.
Well, I'm basing it on the fact that
that's still a 2, thanks to our amazing scoring system.
I don't think that the Transformers were offering pleasure
So
crew on
I
the
was
Ark.
going for a
So-
2, and you've given me a 2. Thank
Well-
you for that.
But you do have to remember that some of the Transformers on board were armoured support craft.
Some of them were dinosaurs.
So they weren't actually flying the ship. They weren't actually crew.
Well, I've listed at least 7 was my original aim, so therefore I get a 2 for that.
Okay. Competence.
Still.
Oh, look, a mountain. Watch out.
Yes, they do nearly get prawned in the first episode. And whilst Optimus and crew always win the day, until the opening scenes of the movie, that is, of course, they never quite win a decisive victory, do they? So yeah, we're looking at somewhere in the middle. They're definitely not legendary.
No.
Not
keep
completely
going.
ham-fisted.
Keep
So
going.
somewhere between 2 and 3, I think.
I think you're being far too generous there as well.
Well, come on, they're not completely incompetent. They're just...
Excuse me, they spent their entire laser battery power flying through an asteroid field. Now, this ship we know can survive an impact with a mountain. So why not just fly through the fucking asteroid field? And even if it couldn't, they're robots. They don't need air.
I mean, to be fair, they left Cybertron in a hurry. Maybe it just wasn't charged up properly.
Maybe, but all the more reason to save the shots you have.
Yeah, but the problem was that clearly the Decepticons were on the wrong side, you see, because according to the wiki,
Well,
they've only got
again,
weapons on one side.
They built a ship with weapons that are only valuable on one side or the other.
Yeah, only work if you barrel roll continually while
But
throwing Jeff from accounts
that's
out the window.
We're not counting the skill of the ship, we're counting the skill of the crew, working with what they've got.
Oh, God. Oh, I mean...
Well, let's examine then the crew of this ship from what we see. They go on a harebrained mission at the last minute, use up their entire laser support, their laser weapon, flying through an asteroid field they didn't need to spend it on. They get boarded and then engage in a wrestling match, because it is wrestling, that's not fighting, they're wrestling. and then they crash into a mountain and sleep for 4 million years.
Well,
Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, well, who wouldn't, indeed?
I'll happily give them a point for surviving the asteroid field to showing the asteroids who were boss.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I don't think they're not down with
that's the point there.
Red Dwarf, so they're not down with Red Dwarf.
And they survived the mountain as well, so I'm claiming my 2 points.
No. They survived. They got knocked out. How do you even knock out a robot as well?
I don't know, but they came to, so they didn't
4
die.
million years later.
Yeah.
But for what it's worth, I will back a 2.
I don't know anymore.
I'd be pegging it a 1.
Okay, so that's 2 2s and a 1. Mr. Lee, what are you going for?
Oh God. All I can think is just the look of shock as a mountain suddenly appears out of nowhere and a planet that they weren't expecting. I mean that, but they're not Red Dwarf. They've got to be better than Red Dwarf.
Yeah, but Red Dwarf is 0, so be better than that.
Who would we pegged as 1 before now? I think
Who
that's
are all attacks? We have 0X.
Yeah, we have the engineers from Alien from
Draconia.
Yeah. The 0X, we have the Draconia. We also have, 2s. Let's have a look at 2s, because that's probably a bit more. You have the X-Bomber, the USS Cygnus, and and then and the Planet Express is 1.
The Executor Star Destroyer.
I would argue they're better than the Planet Express crew. So if Planet Express got 1, the Transformers get 2.
You can argue it all you want. I don't think that's fair.
I don't know.
The Planet Express crew never fly into a mountain. They fly into a lot of things.
Yeah, I was going to say, they did fly into an awful lot of things, actually.
Yes, but not a mountain.
In fairness, the one thing that would give them a 2 is actually last week's episode, Mars Attacks Saucer.
I got Ack.
Yeah, but it got Ack, which is, by our measure, 2.
Right, they're definitely getting 2 then.
Yeah.
Accu.
Wow.
Mother Acker.
Yeah. You kiss your mother with that mouth?
I can do. Anyway, let's not go down that road again.
Yeah. Okay then, right, here we go. This is the fun one. Exterior.
Realisation, we're into the home run. Why do my ships always take an hour to do as well?
Because you
Anyway,
got
I couldn't possibly
You keep
guess.
getting clown cars.
Hey, there's a thought for my next option. Anyway. Exterior realisation. Okay, so this is fairly cheap Saturday morning animation in order to sell toys, let's face it. I like nice design, but it's not exactly highly detailed, I don't think you could argue. It does stay quite consistent, but that's because it's embedded in a mountain for most of the series.
It's a painting.
And they use the same matte painting, exactly.
It's a gorgeous matte painting.
It is.
It is, although it never made sense why do they go to the trouble of like retiling the bit underneath the spaceship?
Because they're perfectionists, clearly. The sort of perfectionists that fly into mountains. Look, I think we're looking at, again, at a 2 or a 3 for this. I'm open to negotiation.
I'm looking at the pictures right now, and the one in the mountain always bugs me anyway, because the engine, which is actually in the last one you see, is actually bigger than all the other 2 that you can see sticking out the back.
Well, to be fair, that's the middle one, because there's 5 on the back.
Don't we all have one bigger than the other? That's nature's way, isn't it?
There's 5 on the back, and there's like 2 smaller ones on either side of a big exhaust port. You can see that on the picture of the other one is taken off.
Yeah, but the one of it taking off, all the engines are the same size.
Well, that's... Yeah.
Shut up, that's why.
I'm trying to throw a small bone here. I mean, like...
Well, yeah, I mean, I understand the necessary, what you need to do to maintain your friendship, sir, but... But it's the painting's not. I mean, I'm looking at several pictures and all the engines are the same, and yet they're not. Oh God, I'll go for 2.
Any advance on 2? Going. Yeah, I'm gone. Okay, interior.
Interior. Well, Teletrain.
We generally only see the bridge, although there is a sort of big another hallway type set that they use. By set, clearly, I mean the same animation cell again. Probably 2 again, to be honest, because it stays the same, but that's only because they can't be asked to redraw it.
Yeah, and they do like a bit of orange, don't they?
Oh yeah, colour scheme's quite vibrant, isn't it?
Yeah,
orange with a hint of granite.
Well,
it's little soupçon.
Yeah, soupçon of orange, soupçon of masonry. Anyway, what do you guys think, Pete? Dave.
Well, I'm quite happy to go for another 2 because I think it's as good as the exterior.
There you go, Andy.
That exact same argument. Plus, I mean, when you get down to ones with Button Moon ship territory, and I don't think it's quite there.
No,
so.
It's not that bad.
But having said that, this is going to piss all the Button Moon ship's pissing all over this from a great height. I think.
At the moment, yes, very much so. Right.
That's only because Button Moon's bloody adjudication was slightly wonky. I can't help it.
I've got a feeling that what we need to actually have happen now is all 3 of us need to retire from this podcast and get another 3 in to go over these ships again. All of them.
That'll just be me starting a separate podcast. Space Doc Jury Redur.
Yeah, the next generation. Anyway, okay then.
No, let's get J.J. Abrams to reboot it.
Yeah, put lens flares all over it.
Lots of lens flares.
Flare and audio. just feedback.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay then. Well, let's move on to science.
Go on, Pete. I'm looking forward to this.
Okay. We've got no explanation of ball gravity, the drive system, why the heck robots need seats. There's no magic involved, so we're not looking at magic levels.
Are you
here,
sure there's no magic involved? We literally have a giant robot which can turn into a tape deck.
That's not magic. It might be slightly dubious design aesthetic, but it's not magic. I used to have one. Admitted, the robot itself clearly wasn't very high.
It's not magic that a 40-foot robot can turn into a tape deck that's regular sized.
And can be picked up by a human being.
And it's able to be picked up and walked around with.
Yeah.
Several tons.
Was an explanation for this, believe it or not. I distinctly remember somebody wrote into the Transformers comic and said...
I think Soundwave's gotten to him.
Yeah.
And apparently it's possible because Transformers are somehow interdimensional and lots of their mass get shunted into this upper dimension when they become smaller. So
If I could quote from Walter from The Big Lebowski, Market Zero!
I mean, it's got. I mean, that's so. What you're basically saying is that every Transformer can basically prolapse into another universe.
Apparently, yes. But bear in mind, we are not marking the science of the Transformers here. We're marking the science of the Ark.
Right. I'll happily give it 1 because rockets do make spaceships take off. and that's clearly what happens.
And mountains.
You have rockets and we go.
Yeah, and rockets also
We're turning into Grimlock here, aren't we?
Yeah. I was also
Yes, that's what you've done to our brains, Peter.
I would also can say that the one is because mountains clearly stop things from moving.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, but we're not judging the mountain either, so, you know.
No, this is true.
Anyway, it is
we're
a very
judging
accurate
the effect
representation of a spaceship hitting a mountain.
Yes.
Okay.
So I demand my 2.
Can I also... Fuck off.
Can fuck off right now.
You can have 1. And even that, again, I'd rather give it 0.
So I will give it a 1 because it uses a rocket. And that works.
Yeah.
We know rockets work.
Nothing else in the Transformers universe works in the way that any kind of scientist would even recognise without spitting his food out across a table. Laughter. It's as simple as that. It's getting a 1. It's just a 1. And it's arsehole lucky to get that.
We've got to coolness, everybody.
Yeah.
Remember this.
Everyone got your size 12s on?
Okay.
Right, I'm giving it 4. So fuck you guys.
You're giving it 4?
Yes.
Right, okay. And
because you've given it such a hard ride.
oh God. Okay, Andy.
Quick huddle here, gentlemen.
Yeah.
I will.
We need to balance this out now.
Do we need to balance it out?
Purely on the strength of childhood nostalgia, I will give it 1.
Okay.
Purely on childhood nostalgia.
Okay, so it's up to 5 for cool. Okay, Dave.
Oh, I'm on the fence because I gave the Battlestar Galactica 1.
That was
Dangerous ground.
So if I give this 1, I'm putting it on the same level.
It's not too late to go back and
Dave.
you could revisit the Galactica if you want.
Oh God.
Oh God.
Oh my God, Bones, what have I done?
Well, honestly, I'm probably going to have to give it a 0 because until I looked it up, I completely forgot what it looked like. Like I remember watching the show and I remember it crashing and stuff, but yeah, it wasn't until I actually sort of had to look it up again that I even remembered what it actually looked like. So yeah, sorry, it is unmemorable and looks like a handheld video game.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 0 because I can't, in good conscience, score this anything because it looks basically like someone got halfway through drawing a pancake and then just thought, nah.
I've just seen where it lands on the scoreboard.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it too.
Where is it?
Auto full.
It scores 28,
Yeah.
which means it's up there with the Dalek spaceship that I brought
Oh
and
no.
the Speeder Ghost, what I brought, and only scores of the ID4 mothership because Andy was doing his best to scupper it, basically.
Oh my God. It's actually below Button Moonship by a full 3
It
points.
is, but I have to say, that is
It's-
wonky.
Setting up home in the Peter Organ wing of the Space Dock Jury.
It is, yeah.
Oh my God.
The organ annex.
Well, to Transformers fans, I can only say I tried, but at the very definition of a hostile audience, I mean, what can I...
Jesus Christ. However, on the plus side, the Mountain scores 54 points.
Yes, and it's in our top 10.
Well, you can't say I'm not consistent.
Jeff from Accounts also gets 58. Jeff from
Not
Accounts,
Jeff from Accounts.
armed with paper clips and a full
And
sense of
form
optimism.
76B.
Yeah, and an overinflated
What did
sense
you
of
transform into? An honourable blob of goo.
Photocopier.
yeah. Yeah, a massive sense of overinflated sense of optimism, and
Inside.
and off he goes. So there you go. I think this episode is going to be called Jeff from Accounts Away. Well, there you go. I'm looking on the top 10. It's not there. So yeah, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's the Transformers arc with 28 whole points, which I think is quite well done.
It's very generous, 28 points, to be honest.
Oh my God. Oh dear. Right. Okay. Well, away from the transforming disaster, it's now time to bring another ancient spaceship, which is actually mine. Which is the Destiny, as featured in the TV series Stargate Universe. So, the Destiny. I want to get this over and done with because what I know about the Destiny is you're right on the back of a postage stamp. But here we go. Ancient spaceship. So, the Destiny is a ship from the Ancient Fleet, which was launched and constructed around 60 million years ago from Earth. The Ancients launched several automated spaceships, very much like Destiny, each with the purpose of constructing and seeding stargates throughout numerous galaxies that they crossed, and the Destiny itself also planned to follow their path and explore planets. The Destiny has traversed at least 38 different galaxies. After beginning this process, the Ancients initially planned to wait until the ship had reached sufficient distance from the Earth before they boarded it, because it has a stargate on and network connection on board. However, because of their endeavours, namely their preoccupation with battling other enemies elsewhere in the universe, and eventually ascending to godhood, they never really followed through on that plan. Because of this, the Destiny continued on its pre-programmed path and its journey throughout the stars, alone for millions of years until the humans arrived in 2009, and then the Destiny had a proper crew. The Destiny itself is a relatively flat and triangular thing. There's not a lot of detail on actually a sort of on the amount of decks it's got. But anyway, Destiny interiors has small control panels all over it, which are opened and controlled by control crystals, which made it very difficult to get to the ship, parts of the ship, because they were all sealed off. The ship also has ancient race of aliens living in certain parts of it that no one really knows what they do, and they're a bit like the Keepers, as I understand it, sort of wandering around keeping bits of the ship active and other bits of the ship, just doing what they do, and they don't really know about the humans on board. The ship is capable of faster and light, but it does not travel by means of hyperdrive. It has 16 faster than light engines which span the entire rear of the ship. The ship itself fuels itself by means of ram-scooping stars, and by doing this, it means that its shielding is strong enough to survive sitting within the corona of a star, and even in some cases, in the case of what they call in universe an O-type star, it can actually fly right into the centre of it and sustain no damage whatsoever. The ship itself has a number of weapons, mainly for defence, small point defence weapons which take out fighters and anything that come near it. And it has several lasers, like larger lasers for capital ships and motherships, though those themselves are rarely used or utilised, and all of them are connected to the same power source. So basically, to fire lasers is to reduce the power of your shields, and vice versa. So Destiny itself, even though it's got automated attacks and attack and defence mechanisms, tends to favour defence over attack. The crew of the Destiny finally got control of it, so it isn't completely automated. So it is actually it does actually qualify in this. If they hadn't managed to make it to the bridge, they wouldn't have done. And yeah, that's about it really. There's lots of interesting facts and figures on the Stargate wiki, but all of it tends to be about the sort of journey within the universe. Stargate, the technology, the ship basically has shields and engines that, unlike other Stargate ships, don't just wrap around it in a big bubble, but actually contour to the ship and can actually seal off parts of the ship. And again, are pretty much impenetrable by normal conventional weapons. And in fact, the Destiny can take 9 major sort of capital ships pounding on it for 46 minutes before there is even the remotest bit of damage to one of its shields. And yeah, the Nakai apparently 44 minutes pounding. The weapons can take out capital ships, but not one shot. What else? Stuff and things. That's about it. I kind of lose it after that. It's quite quick, this one. I've got loads of information on the faster than light. The ship can actually, because it's based on ancient technology, the ship can traverse between galaxies in a matter of weeks. Its top speed isn't actually made clear, but the fact it can actually just leap between sort of the Milky Way and Andromeda in like a couple of weeks makes it a really, really rather fast FTL. The FTL though has one major flaw, which is once it's running, it has to keep running for a minimum of 4 hours, and then once it's shut down, it has to be shut down for a minimum of 9 hours. So it's not one of these things where you can just instantly take off and then stop and then take off again, which makes it a bit of a problem.
And you gave me jip for the 33 minutes.
Yeah, I did. No, I'm being honest because I knew I knew this was going to come at us. I mean, so even though it's super powerful engines, they once they're going, they have to keep going, and if they turn off, you're in trouble. That's the problem. But then again, considering the shields are pretty much perfect, it's not too big a problem.
And on the plus side, you don't have to go through some hellspawn dimension and end up with a load of demons on your ship. So
no, exactly. And like I say, and it doesn't,
sunrise, sunset.
Yeah, the biggest problem really tends to be the fact that the Destiny can take a lot of pounding and take a lot of damage and take a lot of shit, but what it can't do is protect its crew, because if it decides to fly into a star to fuel itself up, as it can do, the problem is that shields will protect the systems, but what it won't do is it won't protect the interior from the intense heat, and the interior of the ship will go up to 300 degrees and potentially cook anyone inside. So when the ship automates itself to go off and refuel, everyone has to get the fuck off.
Slight design flaw.
Slight design flaw, because normally if it's a different type of star like blue stars or something like that, it'll sit in the corona and that'll be fine. But when it decides to go for a full recharge and it goes to the nearest yellow sun and goes straight inside, it'll go right into the core of it and it'll cook everyone inside it. So there you go. It's got a number of support vessels and fighter craft and stargates and what have you to move things and people around.
But do any of them transform into robots?
No, and there's not even Jeff from accounts. So
that's a bit shit, isn't it?
Yeah, so
it's
crap.
Very shit.
Yeah, so total shit. So there you go.
Actually, you say that. I as I recall, that the crew was like they had to evacuate to the Destiny at the last minute. So it's entirely possible there is actually a Jeff from accounts there. Well, he might not be called Jeff, but there might be an accountant there.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, it actually, as I said, there's an ancient race of creatures that are kind of ferreted away on the far extremes of the ship, which the crew have not actually found, or they find it later on in the series. But basically, one of them could be called Jeff, and he might be from accounts. So there you go.
Yeah, account spelled with an apostrophe.
Yeah, accounts. Which actually,
are we doing the axe again?
No. But accounts could be actually a complete swear word. It actually could be a swear word. So we won't go down that route.
And thus was born the Destiny War of 2286.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, so let's get round to rating this bugger, because it's probably going to be the quickest one of the lot, because what we do know is pretty straightforward and set in stone, and what we don't know is going to just get ones. So, right, so let's go for it. The size is 747 meters across, which is the biggest number, which puts that, by my reckoning, at a 7.
Yep.
So that's.
Although I will say, I always thought the ship was bigger than that. It looks like it should be bigger, doesn't it?
It does look like it should be a lot bigger, and the fact is that it does tend to get seen as a lot bigger. It would have been. It looks more like sort of one of those big old.
It's like the Tomb ship, the Necron
Tomb
thing.
Ships, yeah, exactly. But the problem is that the only facts I can get are all reading from the same hymn sheet, which is basically the Destiny SGC Command Wiki.
Ah, yes.
Which unfortunately is the only piece of facts I can get. So unfortunately, if there's anyone else who's going to give me better facts, then that's fine. But it's all being measured in feet as well, which makes it a bit weird. Right, so let's move on. The sublight. Well, it can transverse whole solar systems relatively quickly when it comes out faster than light. So there's no real indicator that it goes light speed when it does it, but you can go from a planet to the star.
I've got a note here for you if you want it.
Go for it.
It says the ancient sublight engines, such as those equipped in things like the puddle jumpers, so assuming technology here, can cross a system in under 15 hours.
Cross the solar system in 15 hours.
Yep.
So that's fine.
4,
so that's 4.
Yep.
Okie dokie. FTL, well, now we're talking super duper fast. It's not jump gates.
No.
But what we are talking about is something else, which may actually put a big problem with us, really, given the way we've done these things before. I mean, considering that it's so fast that it can actually traverse between galaxies in a matter of days or weeks, I don't know. That's definitely faster than a warp by a very long chalk.
Oh, by a huge chalk. I mean, I'd be inclined to say you get the 5, but is it 9 hours to recharge thing? I think counts against it a bit. So,
isn't 4 sort of very fast but not instant.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
So wouldn't that make it a 4?
Well, I would have thought yes.
Yeah, I'm happy for a 4.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. So that's a 4. That's good. I'm glad we're working together on this one because I've got no leg to stand on when it comes to fighting any of this. Maneuverability 1.
It's the brickiest of bricks that ever bricked a brick.
It is. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact it was actually going in a direction, it probably would have got a 0.
Yeah.
I mean, it just lumbers in a straight line and keeps going, even if stars get in its fucking way. So that's a bit pointless. Firepower. Firepower's a weird one. I mean, it has capital ship attacking weapons, but they're not one-shotters.
They're not one-shotters, and also, because we've kind of got the problem here, is you've got the ship which is 60 million years old, and it's not in the best of states, is it? So we don't actually really get a sense of what its abilities were when it first appeared. I only recall it blowing up one larger ship because it only lasted 2 seasons at the end of the day.
Yeah,
it was like 5 or 6 shots sort of thing to blow it up.
Yeah.
But that wasn't really a warship; it was a drone control ship sort of thing. So I don't know if this is helping at all. I'm just saying what I remember from the thing. Again, it's been a while since I watched it.
I would be pitching for an 8 or a 9 because it has the ability to take out a capital ship. It just can't do it in one shot. It's the same as Galactica. It can keep pummeling, but the only thing that will count it down by 1 to 8 is the fact that every shot it takes drains the shield a little bit, so it makes it a crap weapon.
I'd say an 8 sounds fine to me.
Yeah, I'm happy to go with an 8.
Cool. Pete?
I have no frame of reference, Donny, but no, 8.
Yes, well,
okay.
neither have I, so...
No, that's
I'm just happy
fine.
to take some things on faith with this.
No, that's cool. That's cool. Okay, defense active. Well, it has point defense systems for shooting down fighters, so that's 1.
Yep.
That's it, as far as I can tell.
No, I was going to say shields, but that's passive. So
passive.
Forget that.
Yeah, its shields are perfect. I mean, it can actually fly into the fucking sun.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think you can get much more perfect than that, really.
Yeah,
I mean,
its shields are pretty damn spectacular.
Yeah, so that's a 5.
Mm-hmm.
Special. I mean, really, it's like a farting balloon. It's got nothing really. I don't know. I'm willing to give you 2. I'll give you 1 for the laying Stargate ability. But that's not a defense mechanism. That's just something it does.
Well, I think it's in the same sort of way you can use it in a sense of you need to get your crew off in a hurry sort of thing. You can pile out the Stargate.
Which is more an evacuation thing, isn't it? I don't know.
I'm throwing you a bone here. You can take it or you can leave it. I'm just saying I think its ability to seed Stargates and to connect to that network should count for something somewhere. And this is kind of the only place we've got to dump stuff like that.
Okay. I mean, I'll take the shot from the peanut gallery here. What do you guys think about that sort of thing?
I would agree with the Stargate network because that does allow you to access multiple planets from your spaceship and to still be able to get back to your spaceship.
Okay.
It's like a ridiculously long-range teleport.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'd call that quite special.
Okay, so that's 1. And what was the other one?
Or the other one again, and I don't quite know if this will work, but I was going to give it it does to a limited extent have a self-repair ability, although by the time that the
problem is
gotten to it, it's kind of stopped working.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the problem. You can only go by what you see, and unfortunately, that they mentioned quite early on that doesn't work when they have to take all their FTL engines offline because one's broken.
Fair enough. I was just bringing it to mention that it was a thing.
That's cool. I'm happy with it. I'm happy with this, but I'm not fighting its corner, if you know what I mean.
No, that's fine.
So, damn it, the auto repair machine's been damaged.
Bug of it.
Shit.
We didn't think this through.
Yeah, no one thought this through. Okay, crew size. Well, the crew is basically the people who ended up on board the ship, and that's 70 people by count. It's 70 plus civilian United States Air Force and your Marine Corps.
All I would say with regards to the crew is it does take, again, when they first board the ship is largely running automated and so on and so forth. When they find the bridge, there are only 4 stations on that bridge to run it. And it's not a situation where the rest of them are actually doing jobs on the ship. They're not like, scientists and astronomers and all this. They are stranded on the ship. So, I mean, you literally have a bloke who's running a bar.
Which is fine. And the only thing I would say against that is that you've got Marines and defence teams and all that sort of stuff, and we've gone around this.
Well, yeah, no,
before.
absolutely, and I'm not arguing that, and that's fine. All I was saying is, again, with special, I think you could have taken one there for your Marine detachment, if you will, which are on the ship. I'm not looking to fight for argument effectively. All I'm saying, I'm just imparting the knowledge that the ship, at least the bridge, needs 4 to run, and while it does need a bigger crew, in the 2 seasons we never really got a sense of anyone doing anything. But like I said, I'm happy to give you the 70 because we do see there's 70 humans land up on that ship doing stuff. But I know crew's kind of become our latest contentious subject. And whereas in stuff like with the Enterprise and with the Serenity, everyone has a role to do on that ship. And the thing is, it's been so long since I've watched it, I can't actively remember how many were involved in doing stuff. It's the same how with Galactica, when she took on the refugees for a couple of episodes and her crew complement swelled up to nearly 5,000. They weren't the crew, they were just refugees sitting in a flight pod.
Well, in fairness, the whole bunch of refugees by that measure, but then they do take control of the ship, and also the refugees that are coming through are civilian scientists and military personnel who get the ship up and running. No, that's so.
I'm like I said, I'm happy to do it. I was just bringing up the information.
That's cool. That's cool. Like I say, I'm not going to fight this corner. I'm just trying to get the most accurate thing, so we don't get someone who really loves Stargate come and sort of burn my house down with a bag of flaming shit on my doorstep.
Oh, it won't be for the Stargate they'll be doing that. Those Transformers fans are fucking vicious.
Yeah, you're doomed.
Yeah, that's insane.
Are we calling that a 3 then?
Yeah, I think we are. I think we're calling it 3. Okay, cool. Competence of the crew. Well, okay. While there are some competent people amongst the crew, and a really, really competent scientist in the form of, was it Robbie Carlyle's?
It was Nicholas Rush, who basically is Gaius Baltar.
Yeah, exactly.
He is literally Gaius Baltar.
He is Gaius Baltar, but he's also Gaius Baltar, who in a previous life was Begbie. But so I wouldn't go much on the competence for this lot, because firstly they weren't even meaning to end up on the ship. They ended up
it wasn't even meant to be working today.
Yeah, exactly. They end up there by accident, and then every time they get a chance to, it's a bit like Dungeons and Dragons, every time they get a chance to jump off, there's always some reason, like a small unicorn or a tornado or a gumball machine, that they suddenly go, well, actually, maybe we just stay on until next time, and then they just stay on again. Which in
fact, at one point they actually did blow up the ship, but it accidentally threw Nicholas Rush 12 hours back in time to warn them not to blow up the ship.
Yeah. So at best, yeah, exactly. So at best. And they didn't even believe him because they don't trust him anyway. So
because he's Gaius Baltar.
Because he's Gaius fucking Baltar.
So, just for a frame of reference, what did we give the crew of the Ark again?
2. See, I would give these guys between 2 and 3.
Yeah, I mean, if we could do half points, I'd definitely be. I'd be very happy with a 2.5. 2 seems too low, but 3 seems too high.
Yeah, I go along with that. I mean,
I'll go with a consensus, but it's 2 or a 3. But whichever way you want to spin it, I'm happy with either of them.
Yeah. So over to you two. I know you guys haven't got frame of reference, but from what you've just heard, what would you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like you say, it feels like a 2.5. But I'll give the benefit of the doubt and lean towards a 3.
Pete? Beard?
Yeah, I have no idea. No idea at all. Never seen it.
Okay.
No idea.
You're missing nothing. I'll stick with a 3 until we decide otherwise. Yeah. Okay, exterior. It's a CGI model, but I would say it's not the best CGI model.
It is not.
It's not even close. And
this came out after Galactica as well.
I know. It's definitely one of those. Guess what? We've got to make something very quickly. Let's just stick a lot of lights on it.
It looks like the Assassin's Creed logo has been turned into a spaceship.
Pretty much.
You see, my crack about it being the Battlestar Destiny wasn't having a dig. It was, this is trying so hard to be Galactica, it's painful to watch at times. Because Stargate as a series was quite light and fun. There's a lot of humour in there. In fact, there's literally an episode where they get turned into Team America-style puppets. You know, that's kind of the level of Stargate. Whereas
and it does have one of the best Groundhog Day episodes ever.
Oh, absolutely, by a country mile. But this was just trying so hard to be grim and gritty and, you know, real and, again, try and capture that essence of Galactica. Poorly.
All I would say is this is the only ship where it has to be filmed from very specific angles. Otherwise, it normally looks like a cock. Look in the sky, Exhibit A.
Yeah.
Ooh,
The end.
That's not
The end
good.
is what lets it down.
Yeah,
literally, the bell end.
It's literally got it's a ship with an actual bell end.
Bell end.
It looks like the Draconia.
And a
From
pin.
that angle, it looks like the Draconia.
Yeah.
Yeah, but with a bell end.
Yeah.
It's not a good look, and
No.
it kind of looks like Groot's got a diseased penis. If I'm honest, it's not
By Groot's diseased penis.
by Groot's.
I will avenge you.
Yeah.
It's not even better from the. I've got a top angle here.
Yeah, Groot's diseased penis. I will avenge thee. Yeah, I will, by Groot's diseased penis. What savings?
I mean, it literally is the tomb ship. It's even got the pyramid on the top for God only knows what reason.
Because Egyptian Stargate stuff.
Basically,
because reasons. I mean, yeah.
Give the tomb ship.
Well, the tomb ship was a model and described in books, so which is a lot better than this.
I mean, and again, we've got to bear in mind it's CG, but again, it came out after Galactica.
I mean,
after Firefly, it's
a 3 at best, I think.
We gave the tomb ship 3.
Well, there you go.
I find myself unable to argue with it.
I'd say 3 based on the fact we gave the Hatuk 3 as well.
Yeah, I'll go along with that. Okay, interior. Well, it's the finest polished floors sets that Universal could muster in a short notice.
but now with added shadows
again, are we?
It's distinctly lacking curtains, billowy curtains.
Well, that's something.
But all the walls and windows are all pretty much clearly CG. You can tell because they're all slightly hazy and foggy and slightly smeary and don't quite fit in with the film footage that they're being stuck into because they're being done at a hurry. So again, the best I can ask for is a 3 because I think they lit it well.
Well, they lit it because again, it's bathed in shadow pretty much all the time, isn't it? They do that whole kind of
because it's dark.
It's partly because yes, it's grim and it's gritty, but also because we don't have fantastic looking sets, so we must kind of. I mean, I'll send you the link to a picture of a bridge here.
Oh, I was looking at that. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. That's I mean, it's a 3. I mean. It's like they've manufactured one bit and then replicated it 8 times.
It's a generous 3, but yes, you can have it.
Captain's chair is huge.
Yeah.
He's swallowed up in that thing, isn't he?
Yeah, it is. It's not a chair that you can get out of in a hurry.
No.
You have to spin it round and climb in from the front. And
oh blimey, that's like Galloping Galaxies, isn't it?
it's not far.
That was the next ship I was bringing, you bastard.
Oh, God.
But I'll tell you this. You know, this might please Pete. You can actually see from the outside.
You can see the bridge.
Yes, there are arrows, aren't there, and everything. I guess.
Yeah, that's not a good look either, to be honest. Right, okay. Well, I'm going for a 3. That's that.
I think that's...
Yeah, so that's the 3. Science. Well, we fly into stars without any problem. We have a ship that can fly faster than light and
traverse the void in minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Minutes. Goes between galaxies within days, and it's also, it can fly through stars without any problem, and yet somehow come out the other side of what is essentially a massive gravity well. I'm asking for 2. Purely because it has engines and light bounces off it.
What, being visible?
But the Ark has one.
I was, and again, I'm not looking to be the dick here, but I mean, nothing in Destiny makes any sense. Like even where they get their food and water and stuff from, the flying through the stars, I mean, at least when it's hyperspacey, you know, you can say, oh, we can FTL because we have hyperspace and we enter another dimension and everything, which bypasses a lot of Einstein's laws about why you can't go faster than light. This explicitly says, fuck you, Einstein, I'm just going faster than light. Because why the fuck not?
Because reasons. Okay.
Basically, yes.
Okay.
But to be fair, Stargate has form in this area.
Yes, exactly. Okay, in which case I will give it 1 for science. There you go. 1 for science. There you go.
Well, that's also what we gave for Hatak, which I think is appropriate.
Yeah, there you go. So, cool factor.
Yeah.
After you, sir.
I've got to say, I picked this ship because I remember it looking cool. I've looked at it again. It's
a penis.
It's not cool. It's a big floating knob with wings. It really isn't very nice at all. And even in terms of like the series itself, it's a ship where people can't actually walk around it without sort of like going through a whole episode's worth of how do we get a crystal to make a door open. So, frankly,
Yeah, it's the basic maintenance episode.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm giving it a 2 for cool out of my 4. So Pete,
0. It's
Cool.
a knob.
It's a knob. Okay, 0. Andy?
Oh, 0. I'm sorry, mate, but I tested it.
No, that's fine. That's fine. And over to you, Dave.
Yeah, I think it's going to have to be a 0. It's my first time seeing it, and I'd be lying if I said I was impressed.
Well, there you go. Well, do you know what? I've actually achieved something with this ship. I've got the lowest cool score out of any ship ever.
Yeah, it's less cool than the Ark. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually got a cool score of 2. And, and just to give that some context, Spaceball 1 had a cool score of 3.
To be fair, though, that was before we realised that we could mark it 0.
Yeah, that is true. That was one. That was one apiece.
That was the episode where we decided we would allow 0 scores. So,
yeah. And Button Moon. Where's Button Moon? Button Moon gets 4.
Yeah. Get a fucking say.
So
I stand by that.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
Compared to this, I absolutely stand by that.
See, the score works, and Ark gets more than Button Moon. See, 5. There you go. So that gives, surprisingly, what I would call the under the bus ship of the week, 46.
What do you mean? Yeah. Did you miss the whole segment with the Ark?
Yeah, but I don't think Pete ever came out with the intention of throwing that under the bus.
No, I did not.
Oh.
He's expecting the bus to turn into a giant robot and jump over it.
Be an armed support vehicle. The 36B from Grove Park to Victoria.
Optimus bus.
Optimus Jeff.
That's what Jeff from Accounts turns into. He's a bus that you can then throw your ship under.
As the air conditioning's broke. Yeah.
Oh God. Well, there you go. So that's 46 for the Destiny, which was a lot better than I was expecting. I'll be honest with you.
Right.
Yeah. So there you go.
In at number 23.
In at number 23. Well, there you go. In with a bullet. 23 out of 52. Not bad. Anyway. Right. So, it just leaves us to go to one last ancient ship of the evening.
And it's going to score points just for a cool soundtrack, if nothing else.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I think he's doing all right and cool. So, over to you, Dave, and let us know everything about the Liberator.
Well, the Liberator was constructed by a multiplanetary computer system called The System. Originally designated Deep Space Vehicle 2, it was in a space battle of unknown origin and was eventually damaged and left abandoned, where it was discovered by the Federation prison ship London. After crew of the London tried to board it but were all wiped out by the ship's auto-defense system, they sent on 3 prisoners, that being Blake, Jenna and Avon, and Blake managed to successfully disable the automatic defense system, and they essentially stole the ship. the ship interfaced with Jeddah telepathically, and from that, the ship's computer Zen christened the ship the Liberator.
Mm-hmm.
And from there on, it was used by Blake as his base of operations and his main weapon to fight against the evil Federation. And it was captained originally by Blake, and then after Blake disappeared, after the Liberator was forced to defend against on its own against an entire invading battle fleet from another galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
Very badly realised battle fleet.
Yes.
Well, to be fair, this was what 1980s.
It was that would have been 79, I think.
So yeah. We'll give it a little leeway there, I guess.
But yeah, so after getting the shit kicked out of it in a massive space battle, the crew had to abandon it and eventually had to get back. And after that, the ship was captained by Avon, and was until it was taken through on a mission. It was taken through a series of liquid particles which infected the hull like a virus and slowly basically ate up the ship from the inside out, turning bits of it to green slime. And it was eventually destroyed. Blew up because this virus could have just completely ate up the ship, and ostensibly killing Servalan, but not so much as it turned out.
Sadly.
Yes. Well, I mean, pulling the curtain back, it was destroyed because they thought they were having the last episode.
Yeah.
And they did it really well as well.
Yeah, it's a beautiful explosion. It's a real kind of tender moment when it goes down. But apparently somebody at the BBC was so impressed with the last episode that was made to be the last episode that they told the continuity announcer to announce that the show was going to get renewed for another series. So the first thing that the producers knew that they were getting another series was the continuity announcer at the end of Terminal going, and Blake Salmon will be back next year for more space adventures.
Oh, nice.
When they go, no, what?
Yeah.
we destroyed our model. We've destroyed our sets.
So was the next episode Blake standing in the shower sort of thing?
Oh, that would have been better.
No, he's got
the fourth series isn't great.
No. It starts off with him in a spacesuit, just floating through space, just picking bits up and putting them in a cardboard box, saying this is going to take fucking forever to put back together again.
The Liberator had a powerful ship's computer called Zen. It had offensive and defensive systems. It had 3 powerful neutron blasters, which were mounted on the end of the ship's 3 nacelles. The weapons were so powerful that a radiation flare shield had to be raised before activation, and it vaporized most ships with a single hit. It also had plasma bolts for surface attacks and a bank of Seeker missiles. The Liberator's hull was made of a substance called Herculaneum, which was impervious to most heavy weapons fire and can actually regenerate and self-heal. It also has internal auto-repair systems. It had a teleport system, which was the only one of its kind at the time. As I said, it has a internal security system. It ran off a bunch of antimatter power cells, which... If everything was, if they were using the defensive systems, the engines, the weapons all at the same time, would get drained after about, it says it here, hold on. There is an actual time frame. I think it's about 40 minutes. And that's if it's in full-on battle doing absolutely everything against everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. So... behind the scenes, the Liberator was unusually designed not by one of the BBC's model designers, but by the set designer, Roger Murray Leach, who also designed the interior sets. It was it was built in the model workshops in Feltham, Middlesex. There were 2 models built. One was 3 feet long, and one was just 20 inches long, which would be used for long shots. That's pretty much most of it, really.
Cool.
It also has a very comfy sofa.
Yes.
And a copy of Space Monopoly.
Fuck Space Monopoly.
Nice.
You've been waiting to poke me with that stick for ages, haven't you?
Yes.
Space Monopoly.
Oh, yeah, there is an episode where they're basically playing Space Monopoly. The episode sits around with them playing a board game.
Nice.
Which gives you some indications to the quality of what's going to happen in the rest of the episode.
Oh my.
It's just, oh no, I'm in space jail.
It doesn't end up in the side of a mountain, does it?
It doesn't.
It doesn't do that. No.
Don't end up inside a black hole being chased Benny Hill style by a bunch of crap robots. And they're given pencils at one point, and someone goes, "Why a graphite writing stick?"
Oh God!
Oh yeah, it's called Dawn of the Gods, and it's the worst episode they made.
Nice.
It's arguably one of the worst episodes of anything ever.
I mean, like Blake Seven has had some marvelous episodes. Dawn of the Gods is not one of them.
Nice. Okay, well, let's get on to rating this bugger then.
Okay, right. Well, size. Now, I had to do a bit of digging around for this because Blake Seven, in a kind of a canny way to sort of preserve its own continuity, didn't actually effectively state many things definitively. Like they don't even say what year it is.
Right.
Because they just don't want. They sort of future-proof themselves, and like it's hard to contradict your continuity if you don't state it in the first place.
Nice.
But thanks to the good people over at hermit.org, which I will give a shout out to for me finding this, they have extrapolated from. Basically, they've taken it from when you see the spaceship London launching, there's a couple of little model people
right
at the front. So they've worked out how big the London is compared to those model people, and then compared the London to the size of the Liberator. So they estimate the size to be about 200 meters.
Right, which is a 2 on our scale.
Yeah. So
nice.
I just want
anyone who tries that hard to get it is entitled to the score they ask for, I think.
Absolutely. Whenever you put...
No, absolutely. I was so happy to see it because I didn't know what I was going to do for size. And then I stumbled across this, and they'd gone off and sort of worked all this out. And so fair play to you people at hermit.org. You've saved my bacon there.
Nice.
You've got me on the board.
Yay. You got... Well, yeah, you're 1/10 away from beating anything that Pete's put up for the last 4 weeks. Yeah.
And just be glad you're not judging the London, because as spaceship designs goes, that isn't the best.
Yeah, that's essentially an egg box.
Oh God, yeah. Is it?
I will send a picture. Give me a second.
Oh God. Yeah, I was going to say
I can't defend the London.
No, I don't think anybody can.
What
Nor
the
would I try.
flaming fuck is that?
I mean, yeah, it's not a million miles away from an eagle.
It's a trillion miles away from it.
It looks like an eagle after Alan's had at it.
I tell you what that looks like. That looks like someone just got a load of old junk. They pulled something out of the back of a washing machine, spray painted it silver, and put an aerial antenna from a model of a fucking rig. It looks like someone's put the front of a truck on the end of a penis.
Well, to be fair, it is meant to be a shitty freighter, but that's not the ship we're rating here, so...
Thanks
as well.
God. I mean, what's that strange hose thing sticking off the side?
That's the docking tube. That's it when it's hooking up to the Liberator.
Right.
Not the penis.
I can't even tell which way round it's supposed to be travelling. That's amazing.
To be fair, I've often had a problem with pictures of Liberator.
Really?
Well, I mean, before I'd seen it moving or anything like this, and I saw it, I was like, which end's the fun?
Oh, the green ball. No. But anyway.
I know that now.
No. Anyway, right. Go for
it. Speed. Sublights.
Yes.
It crosses the solar system quite quickly. When they first get on board the ship, the London is about halfway through the journey to Cygnus Alpha, which is on the edge, and they're travelling at sort of time distort 4. Again, sort of setting up their own rating system, so you can't compare it to anything.
Nice.
But they say that's going to be like an 8-month journey, and the Liberator catches up to them in a matter of moments after they tell it to go there.
Right. Okay. So
I'm asking for a 4
because it crosses the system in minutes.
Also, it spends most of the series outrunning its opponents. So
they do a lot more running than fighting in it. But
exactly.
It's a lover, not a fighter.
Nice. Okay.
So I mean, I could push for 5, but I'm not sure I could justify it.
Well,
without context.
Well, the only thing I would say, and this is throwing you a bone, but based on what we've done before, is if it 4 is crossing a solar system in hours, and 5 is pushing it up to almost the speed of light to the point where to go any faster you need FTL engines. So, in theory, if it's crossing a whole solar system in minutes, that's 5 by my measure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, in that case, I'll take the 5.
Have your 5, sir.
There you
Excellent.
go. Cool. Okay, right, fine. So, what about FTL then?
FTL is not clearly defined. It's theorized when they first get on the ship that it uses it uses negative hyperspace to travel.
What does that even mean?
Yeah, it's never expanded upon. It's just some techno babble thrown out there. So I'm going to conservatively ask for like 1 FTL but unknown.
Okay,
I think that's fair.
That's the way it works.
I can't in all good conscience try to push for anything else because I've got nothing to back it up.
Cool. Okay, 1 you get. Cool. So now you only need another 20, and you've beat you've beat the Ark. So right, okay.
And most of my other choices as well.
Right. So what, we on to maneuverability now?
Yes.
Yes.
Right now. Okay. This might be a Hail Mary, but you see a bit of it in battle, and at one point it is seen to be openly barrel rolling.
Yes.
Right.
And so seeing as sort of like looking at the scale, Trek capital ships are a 3, and you can't really do that with a Trek capital ship.
No.
I would ask for a 4.
A 4. Okay, what else are we given 4? Necron Tomb Ship. Serenity got a 4. So, yeah, Milano got a 4.
Shadow Battle Crab, Normandy, the Defiant.
Yep, okay. That sounds about right then.
Yep, I think that's fair.
Yeah, if it's barrel rolling and it's the size of a capital ship and it's kind of flying about, I think that sounds about right. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for that shot of it barrel rolling, because otherwise I would have had very little to
I was going to say, otherwise you've just got
work with. But
otherwise you got the swoop from the intro, and that's about it, isn't it? Right. Okay. So what about firepower then?
Firepower. Now, it does say in the wiki that it destroys things with a single shot, but I would say in universe, the Liberator is by far the biggest ship in the known galaxy. So nothing else is really capital ship size.
Yeah.
It is, however, equipped with like plasma bolts for surface destruction. And in one episode, it does, under the orders of Servalan, who's temporarily in command, destroys an area which they classify as over 50 surface spatials. Which, if you conservatively call that 50 miles, that's sort of like the southeast of England going up.
Right. Okay.
and like Servalan does order it completely destroyed. So I'd like to sort of pitch that for 9 for city leveler.
I think that's fair because it does do a lot of destruction, but quite often they have to recharge the energy before they can fire again. So I'd go shy of destroying a capital ship with 1 shot and go with city leveler for 9. I think.
Okay. Fine.
No, I'm happy with that.
Okay. Cool. We're doing well. Right. Okay. So we're on to
incidentally, you're only 7 away from the Ark now. So
even if you scored 1 on every single thing all the way up to the end, you're guaranteed a win. Right. Okay. So defense. Active defense.
Active defense. Well, it's not got anything like a point defense system or anything, but I noticed on the scale that maneuverability higher than 3 is classed as a.
Yep.
It is. Yep.
It is.
Yep.
So since I've got a 4, so I'm going to claim 1 for that.
Yep.
Okie dokie. And what about your passive? How's it
But
shielded?
hang on, because it's got another active defense system as well. Because if you try and board it, it actually screws with your mind.
But
Well, I was going to
that's
pitch
a
that under
special.
special.
Yeah, that's a special. I would have thought.
You could do. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, we'll get to that in a second then. So what about passives like shields and hull? And
It has a force wall, they call it.
shield.
Yeah, yeah. They call it a force wall. I didn't name the thing.
They were avoiding copyright problems as well. Also.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
I'm not going to attempt to defend the naming. But also it has like heavy armor which can regenerate as well, given enough time. So purely on a shields factor, I'd put it on a 4 for Trek shields.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Okay. I've got no reference on that one, but I'm just going to take it on faith. Okay. Cool. 4. Special. So we got our Mind Warper thing.
Well, it's the it's the sort of internal defense system which kills members, anybody who's not a member of the crew trying to get on board, and that's it's used in 2 episodes, so it is used on more than one occasion.
Okay.
So it has an automatic repair system internally.
Yep. So that makes that 2. Okay.
And I would like to include Zen as well, the ship's computer, because when ordered to, he can defend the ship independently. There is at least one episode where he's told to sort of basically just to attack, and the computer sort of takes over and blows up a bunch of Federation ships off its own back because it's been told to.
Just Andy, have we had precedents for doing that? Having
we've got instances where if a ship's computer can effectively take over another ship or do something along those lines. But to be fair, we've not done the Normandy 2, so we can't really quote where Edie would come into. I'm just having a look, see if anything we've had in the past would kind of count. We've never given
We've had a super intelligent ship before, and I think that's what we're dealing with here.
There was Sovereign. And I don't seem to recall giving that anything for that, but
that was kind of a different. That was kind of a bit way with the fairies and a bit on dangerous ground. That one.
I mean, if you're saying that the computer can outthink an enemy and best it thusly,
it has its own battle computers that it puts online for sort of like coming up with strategies and.
Okay.
It gives advice, basically. So if it thinks that it's a better solution to the problem than the crew are currently giving, it will tell you, which is quite cool.
Okay.
Do you really want to do that? Really?
Why not? He's a guest, it's fine.
Go for it, 3. So you got 3 for special.
Splendid.
Yeah. You wait for the argument next week where one of us tries to set that as precedent.
It'll all go horribly, horribly wrong. Okay, so on to crew. So size. Well, it's called Blake 7.
Yeah, but
that's no help.
There's 5.
What? Oh, there's 5.
I can't claim any higher than a 1 on crew.
Okie dokie. 1.
Nor would I try to.
Okay. Now we're on to an interesting one. Competence.
Now.
Yes.
I would like to cite some precedents for this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I seem to remember that the crew of the Serenity were given a 5.
They were.
Yeah. Against protest, I hasten to add.
Yeah, multiple protests. Yeah.
How can I have gotten protest over both of you?
Yeah, I don't know how that happened either. But...
Sheer force of will when you get the rile up. Yeah, go on.
And I would say that as much as I love the crew of the Serenity, they never single-handedly faced down an entire invading battle fleet in one ship on their own.
This is true.
It's true, yes.
I would like to sort of cite precedents and say that if Serenity gets a 5, I think the crew of the Liberator deserve a 5 as well.
Put it this way, Dave. If it's the crew as led by Blake, I had the rapidly reducing crew because he kept getting them killed, I would have gone much lower. But the crew led by Avon, I'll give you 5. Because he's just out for ensuring everybody survives.
Okay.
He only got 1 person killed, and that wasn't on the ship.
Okay, well, there you go. You get a 5 then.
He was a ludicrous idealist, though, so I would mark Blake down for that. But Avon, yes, definitely a 5.
Okay, now we're into some interesting things. Here we go. Realization, the exterior.
Well, the Liberator is a decent model.
Yeah,
especially considering again from the time it was made, and sort of considering that it was made off, they'd inherited the budget from Z cars.
That's a police procedural for those who aren't aware.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were making a space opera on the budget of the bill. But I think it's a decent model. I think it's pretty well shot for the most part. Yeah, there are the occasional wobbles. I won't argue, but I would like to picture 3.
I mean, if it were just on the basis of the model, I would have gone with 5 because it's a beautiful model. But
it does wobble.
Not only that, but sometimes they for some never understood why they did this, but first couple of seasons, when they were shown the Liberator moving really fast, they took a photograph of the Liberator model.
Seriously,
and
they only did that one episode.
I'm sure that was more than one episode.
No,
and it was in the credits as well.
Yeah, it was in the titles.
They definitely do it in Aurak. I won't deny they do it in Aurak, because that was one of the first episodes I saw. And I don't know it happens, but that's, as I say, that's why I'm not asking for a 4. But
Okay.
I think a 3 is fair.
I've thrown a 3 out there. I will throw myself upon the mercy of the court.
On the basis that we gave Pete, and God only knows why, a 2 for the 66 Dalek spaceship, I'm quite happy to give him the 3.
Yeah, very much so, based on that alone. Yeah, there you go. You get a 3 for that.
Woohoo!
Yep.
Woo! Okay, now here we go.
It's very well lit as well, I hasten to add. So
Yeah, it stands up to some decent scrutiny, except for the wobbling and the fact it's a picture on a wire at one point. But you know, yeah, 3 sounds about right. So we're on to interior.
Okay.
it's a nice sofa.
The bridge set is pretty damn good.
Yes.
Like,
especially the controls for piloting it are really cool. Because basically you sit in these there's 3 really cool chairs, and they have these sort of joystick things that they use for their hands, which is really cool as well. It gets points for that, definitely.
And Zen looks like amazing because he sort of takes up an entire wall, which is it's just like again for like a BBC set, it's a really really big set, and between that and the teleport room, those are the 2 sets you see the most often, and obviously those are the 2 that look the best. Yeah, like other parts of the Liberator, yes, don't look as good because they're bits that you're only seeing for one episode, and so they are just kind of sets. But I think the like the scale and the scope of the bridge set sort of balances out the shonkiness of the sort of like some of the others. So I'm going to pitch a 3 again.
I think that's fair because you don't see an awful lot more of the ship than the bridge and the teleport room. And to be fair, the other rooms you see
and a bit of corridor.
Yes, that's basically it. Like there's the Medi Bay you see a couple of times, but that's just a couple of sofas basically.
And a triangle chess set, from what I can see in this picture.
That might be Space Monopoly.
Space Monopoly. There you go.
It does suffer a lot from 1970s BBC budget from the looks of it, but again, going off of the basis of what we gave for 66 Dalek Saucer, I can't really argue with the 3.
Yeah, well, we never.
In many ways, I need to thank Pete for doing a lot of the prep work for me.
Yeah,
for crashing and burning to clear the way for you.
yes,
That's right. Well, actually, yeah, because you left a massive furrow when you planted that arc in the side of the mountain.
Head first.
Okay. Yeah, he's on the mountain. What's he doing on that mountain? Anyway.
He loves the mountains.
Jeff from Accounts has crashed at a mountain.
Jeff from Accounts who turned into a bus. Anyway, right. Go on in. So we're moving on to science. Here we go.
One. I'm not going to claim anything more than a 1.
Thank
It is magic.
I know I don't have a leg to stand on in that area.
Thank goodness for that. That was going to be a long old argument if that kicked off.
I'm not a fool, sir.
Okay, fair enough.
I try to choose my battles wisely for this because I knew in some areas I didn't have anything to go with.
Never a chance, yeah. Okie dokie. Well then, on to cool factor. So,
well, this is getting my full 4. It's the fucking Liberator.
Okie dokie. So that's 4 for you.
It's one of the most iconic pieces of British sci-fi ever made.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I'm going to give it a 2 because it's the only 2 I can give it, so that makes that 6. So, Pete, what about you?
I love this ship. It's fantastic. I had a little toy of it back when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I never quite knew which way it was supposed to travel because I hadn't actually seen the series up to that point. But once I did, it all became clear, and it's a design. It really is cool. Yes, all right, sometimes the budget of the show let it down, but ultimately, really cool ship. I'm giving it my full 2.
So, okay, fair enough. Andy?
I feel like I'm being pressured into giving it 2, and I don't want to be lynched. So based on that, I'll give it 2.
Right, okay.
Sensible man.
Giving it a full 10. There you go. Well, there you go. That's an eye-opener. Liberator scores a massive 52.
Yep.
Nice.
There you go.
That was
Entirely
higher than
respectable.
That was higher than I projected for it.
Which puts it... Hold on, let's have a look at the auto scores.
19, just above the White Star and below the Icarus 2.
There you go.
Yeah, a perfectly respectable placing, I think.
Yeah.
I knew I wasn't going to be bothering the top 10 with it, having seen what the other scores were. But it's in good company.
Yeah, that's...
It's in the top 20.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not
in
bad
top
going.
20, which ain't bad.
You didn't score 28, which is never a good sign. So
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there were some things I was never going to get high, like crew was never going to get higher than that, and obviously scientific accuracy was always going to hobble it. So I think like considering the obvious handicaps it had,
He did rather well.
I feel I've done all right.
I think you've acquitted yourself beautifully, sir.
yeah. Didn't he do well?
Didn't he do well? There you go.
Did you have fun, Dave? Did you have fun?
I did actually, yeah. Hi, Bob.
Lovely, lovely.
And here's what you could have won.
Even though you live in
Oh,
the
it's
land.
dark. Oh.
Yeah, that's right. You get
Okay, now say what you see. Say what you see.
I see a pile of ships sticking off a mountain.
I'm so sorry, Lama.
Oh.
Sorry.
It's
It's
fine.
good, but it's not right.
Yeah. It's a good guess, but it's definitely wrong. Anyway, right. Well, that's this week's episode done. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Dave, for taking part. But before we go,
Thank you very much.
Yes.
exactly.
Thank you for inviting me.
No,
Oh,
it's okay.
but next time you've got something you want to bring, you're more than welcome, sir.
Yeah.
Excellent.
But before we go, we obviously have to do our usual bit of telling you what we're going to be doing next. Yeah. So next time, what we will be doing is we'll be doing ships that get lost. Ships that vanish into the night. Ships that disappear, don't come back, or spend a very, very long time trying to work out exactly where the bloody hell they are.
Ships where the sat-nav failed.
Yes. So I'll get my...
Roundabout.
yeah. At the first left turn into the aqueduct. No, anyway. So, I'll get my obvious one out of the way. I'm bringing the USS Voyager from the Star Trek Voyager TV show.
We swore we wouldn't do this.
You idiot.
The
The spoon.
Trust me, if I can get this into double figures, I will count myself as the most successful man on Earth.
If you get into double figures, I shall punch your lights out.
And I shall let you. Anyway, right, and so I'm bringing the USS Voyager. Andy?
In what I think was going to be an entertaining challenge of who can throw their ship under the bus the hardest, I'm going to bring, and please forgive me for this, the Event Horizon. Because it was the only one I could think of.
Now.
I know.
So in what would appear to be the winning episode next time, Pete, what are you bringing?
I'm bringing Babylon 4.
What?
Actually, that's quite clever.
It can move. I'm bringing Babylon 4.
That's golf clap. Golf clap. That's
Point of order.
yes.
It's a fucking Babylon space station.
Yes, but it still flies through space.
So
It-
does
No, it doesn't. It flies through time.
And time, yes. I'm looking for a good score here, folks.
Hold on. Can I just so by that measure I could have brought Terok Nor.
Technically, well, okay. I suspect I might have been
This is opening a
responsible
can
for
of
this.
worms.
I might have been responsible for this because we were in the pub talking about this, and I might have mentioned that Babylon 4 was actually fitted with engines, not just thrusters.
Unlike
actual engines to move, to traverse systems and so forth.
it's a plot point.
But I fear he hasn't thought this through properly. And
That's not like me.
and just off the top of my head, I can think of several problems with this option. So you said you had two options. Would you like to at least offer what that other one was, and we will perhaps help guide you to the...
Well, my other option, which is a bit more spaceshipy, to be fair, is the Icarus from Planet of the Apes.
Go for Babylon 4.
I will.
I don't. I cannot kick a puppy any longer. I really can't.
To be fair, that would end up below 28, legitimately below 28, not like the Independence Day of a ship.
Because I have a natural ability to score 28.
No, you have a natural ability to score ships which actually end up in things. The Icarus from Planet of the Apes ends up in the ocean.
It does kind of crash, yes, it does, yes. But it goes really fast in the process.
Into the ocean. That's his entire reason for being. It takes off, you never see it. It flies, you never see it, and it ends up in the ocean. It's more of a boat. We got a podcast called Space Doc Jury. You've brought a space station and a boat.
And that time you bought a ship that never went into space.
Yes.
What's next? What is? I mean, you the Dalek ship was a car with the front chopped off that never went into space. You brought a space station to a thing with the spaceships flying, and now you're telling me you're going to have as an alternate a fucking boat.
Yes.
Did you not get the memo of what this actual fucking
I'm
podcast
suspecting he's some sort of masochist. That's the only thing I can think of. He is getting off on these low scores.
Have you found some sort of way you could wheedle K9 in there and have him? I mean, really? It's just fucking hellfire, Pete.
Obviously, my preference would be to take Babylon 4 because I think it's going to score quite well in size. But
and that is literally it.
Oh, actually, it will do all right on FTL as well.
Powder fucking dry. But yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Right. Well, that's.
So what's it going to be, chaps?
It's Babylon 4.
Babylon 4, do it.
I cannot sit there and I cannot sit there and spend a whole evening of mine rating a boat. I just can't. I just can't do it. My brain can't do it. Well, how big?
Good looking boat, though.
How big is it? Well, 14 feet of it sticking out of the ocean. Right. Okay. How fast does it go? Fast enough to crash into the ocean.
Don't give him ideas because you'll be doing the Decepticon ship next, and that literally did just spend its entire time underwater. Although that one you saw take off first and then crash into the ocean.
I mean, interior of the Icarus. It's a boat.
That will be difficult. Yeah, I don't think you ever see the interior actually.
Well, actually, it's like the toilet. It's like the toilet showroom in IKEA. It's just a big white box with windows.
And I'm not aware it has any firepower either, so it wasn't going to score very highly with that. So I'm rather relieved you've allowed me to go for Babylon 4. Thank you.
Yeah.
It was worth it just for the reaction, Lee.
Jesus. Right, okay, well, there you go. Lost ships.
Lost ships and space stations.
Lost ships and space station. Fucking space station. You two shouldn't go out drinking, that's all I'm saying. You shouldn't be left alone without your supervisor of an adult. Right.
That fair point, well made.
Proof is there, I think. Right, okay. So there you go, Lost Ships, which has USS Voyager, Babylon fucking 4, and the Event Horizon. I mean...
Do you want to sit next week out, Lee? I mean, Dave, do you want to take Lee's space?
Seriously. I mean, that's not Lost Ships. That's just a big bucket with the word clusterfuck written on it.
Yeah, I will happily nominate myself as first alternate if at any point anybody can't take part due to sort of rage aneurysm.
Well, yeah, I am actually trying to hold a small vein that has suddenly miraculously appeared in my forehead. I'm just trying to hold it down. I'm trying to apply ice to it right now. What the fuck?
How do you think I feel about going to see Star Trek Beyond? Oh, dear.
Not the same as I think about trying to rate a space station in a podcast about spaceships. What's next? The space dock from Star Trek 3 because it moved very, very slowly. regular.
That's a damn fine space dog. Don't knock that space dog.
I mean, if I wanted to put a mild flaw in the ointment, I thought that the spaceship's meant to be interplanetary.
Well,
Yep.
it could be, but it would take a
different planet.
It would take a long time.
I'm sorry for this. I really am sorry for this. But in the comic book written by JMS in Valen's name, which is largely about Babylon 4, it's shown what it is.
Okay, fair enough. I'd stand corrected. If I don't bring it up now, somebody on the Facebook group's going to do it. So, you know.
I'm going to bring something up. Fuck my own fucking lungs, I think, at this point.
You know, we could make him do the Jupiter 2 instead.
Jesus H. Christ. Right, okay. Well, anyway, thank you very much for joining us on this week's Space Doc Jury. Do join us again next time. And, Dave, before we go, have you got anything you would like to plug, sir?
Oh, go on then. You can hear me on my chat show Tangential Deviation over on Geek Planet Online. And you can also hear me on my show Twice as Bright, Half as Long, where I'm joined by Ian Wilson and we rewatch shows that didn't last more than 2 seasons. And you can find that on Geek Planet Online and Earth2.net.
And coming soon, Space Doc Jury on that, I believe, isn't it? It's not going to last for 16 episodes.
Yeah, I was going to say, you want to talk about things that won't last up any more than two seasons. I think next week's going to just make sure that's the case. The first on-air suicide is just about to happen.
I'm actually quite bemused that he's more upset about Babylon 4 than the Event Horizon or Voyager.
Yeah, because you know what? The Event Horizon actually flew. It was, by definition, a space ship. The Voyager actually was seen in the title sequence as a space ship. This thing is a fucking flying dildo that accidentally fell through a hole in time and had rockets, according to a person who wrote a comic book.
The creator of the show wrote the comic book.
And writer of most of the episodes.
Yeah.
But never in the TV series.
It's that or the Icarus, dude.
You brought a boat. It's a boat.
So I'm just picturing the end credits of this now. The end credits of this now is just an abandoned microphone and the sad walking away music from the Incredible Hulk.
Yes, that's happening.
Oh, God. And you know what's going to happen. You just know. I mean, we're not rolling the credits yet. I'm saying this out now. You just know that due to some...
I'm going to score 28.
That's your challenge, Lee.
Yeah.
Make Babylon 4 score 28.
I will just, yes. I will make it my fucking mission.
What hurts? This podcast will kill me, I swear.
I mean, fuck.
It is self-inflicted, though, mate, you know?
I know.
I'm just looking at the score. Babylon 4's 7.5 kilometres long. Fuck.
To be fair, that's scored 28 already, hasn't it?
It scores 1 or 0 for everything else, mate.
Powder dry.
It scores a fucking 12 on size alone.
Powder dry. Don't rob me of my victory.
I'm actually starting to feel slightly woozy. Wow.
Folks.
Thanks very much, guys. 6,000 fucking crew. Right. Okay. Fine. We'll see you all
One
next.
Babylon 4. There's only one Babylon 4.
We'll see you next time. Maybe. I think Dave might be sitting in for me.
Do you want the Doors, the end, playing over this bit? I can't help feeling.
Just a magic roundabout theme on a permanent loop.
Lee emerging from the water, Apocalypse Now stuff.
Yeah, actually, hello, darkness, my old friend. Happy to be with you again. This is the sound of stations. Right, okay. Go on in. Off you go, ladies and gentlemen. See you all soon. Thank you, Dave, for taking part.
Thanks very much for having me.
And fuck you, Pete, for doing this. Goodbye. Goodbye,
Move
everyone.
along.
Bye.
Goodbye.
See you, Space Cowboys.
Cheery bye.
Space Doc Jury is a production of Three Angry Beards for GeekPlanetOnline.com.